Chapter 1. Ori. Are you really not going to come with us? A young man with freckles on his face looked at the scattered crowd hesitantly. Still trying to persuade. Bori. You know. This is no longer the Screech Academy it once was. Why haven't you left yet? The freckled boy doesn't understand. He doesn't want to stay here for a minute longer. The former Screech Academy was one of the most famous magic academies in the entire Ace Empire. There are even magicians as teachers in the academy. Everyone wants to improve their magic. I want to enter the academy even if I sharpen my head. At that time, Screech's threshold was very high. It is impossible for someone with a low-level magic talent like a freckled boy to come in and learn. But Screech is different now. Senior instructors left one after another. The old principal died suddenly. The new headmaster is still a Muggle without any magical talent. Even in this session's enrollment, the new principal took it upon himself to recruit more than a dozen untalented students. They also forced away the few teachers still staying to study now. What an insult to them. Probably those who choose to stay. Not deceived. I just wanted to make a fake proof. Oh my God. The freckled boy didn't even know why he gritted his teeth and entered this academy in the first place. The freckled boy hesitates to speak. Let's talk about it again, Borui. With your ability. There shouldn't be a need for proof from a magic academy, right? The Academy of Magic proves to be a symbol of strength. It is also one of the benefits of joining the academy to study. Many nobles will spend money to send their less talented children to school. Get some proof to show your face. But Borui is a swordsman who practices martial arts. There is no need for this proof at all. The freckled boy who had been thinking about it finally got Borui's answer. I don't need. But I just want to collect one. No way. Bori shrugged lazily. He even took the time to glance at the corner of the stairs. Dim magic wall lamp below. A young man wearing a blue magic robe is reading a book quietly. As if all this mess has nothing to do with him. Borui sneered. Okay, Ike. You can leave if you want. What are you pulling me for? I don't want to go back with you and get scolded. Being enlightened. Ike's cheeks are red. A while. He angrily dropped the sentence, love, will you leave? I also followed everyone's footsteps and left together. Soon there were only a few people left in the huge auditorium. Sitting very spread out. Some subconsciously look left and right. There is tension in the eyes. Long time later. A girl whispered. Why hasn't the principal come yet? You're not really lying to me, are you? Borui's ears moved slightly. Think about why these untalented students are here. His face gradually became complicated. It seems. The liar principal is trying to maintain the student base. I also put in a lot of effort, smiley face. Xia Shichen, the principal who was considered a liar, was having a headache and was busy talking to an old and immortal Zhou Xian. He just traveled through. A second ago, I was heading back to the village in the rain to go to class. The next second, people appeared in this quaint and full of medieval European-style place. Don't give him buffer time. A flood of memories washed through my mind. There was also a I am the principal app who introduced himself suddenly. Outside his mind, an old man with a white beard looked at him with contempt. Let him sign the Shalatzi transfer agreement. He was so busy that he could no longer maintain his good temper. Anshin Screech. I think you know it yourself. Signing the school transfer agreement is for you. It will be good for the Screech family. Xia Shichen gently pinched his eyebrows with one hand. Hold the parchment roll with one hand. Smile deepens. Dear Mr. Robber. Can you shut up? Mr. Robber Doran. He stood up with a snap in anger. What did you say? Xia Shichen slowly opened his eyes wide. Surprise. What? Are you planning to teach me, the Muggle headmaster, a lesson? He emphasized the word Muggle. Really? The magician of Dwoluan was instantly frozen in place. He was so angry that he was about to explode, but he could only endure it. Mick's face red and neck thick. Yes. Xia Shichen traveled to a magical world of Western fantasy. It's like a novel here. There are various races. A few people and races have magical talents. Revered for his strength. There is also pride. They look down on Muggles. I feel like it's an insult to attack Muggles. Therefore, when Xia Shichen emphasized Muggles, a trace of disgust flashed in Duolin's eyes. But I don't want to condescend to take action. More angry. Xia Shichen smiled. Lord Magician. Can we sit down and talk? Duoluan narrowed his eyes. Talk. I think I've made it clear. This transfer agreement. Just sign your name. Don't sign. Xia Shichen smiled slightly. Not giving an inch. I remember. Academies that have not been banned can be protected by the Magicians Association. Which rule is this? I need to think about it carefully. Xia Shichen, who was thinking, looked at Duoluan in surprise. The Master Magician is also from the Magician Association? He must know the rules of the Magician Association better than me, right? I wonder if the distinguished Master Magician can help me recall it? Duoluan was pissed off. And left a cruel message that did not know what is good or bad. I'm sure I won't give up. It's time to leave. Xia Shichen closed his eyes, rubbing the temples, while relieving headaches. Sort out your current situation. He is now the principal of a down-and-out old magic academy. As a principal, he has no magic talent. Magisters disobeyed discipline. They all broke the contract and left. Didn't even pay liquidated damages. The original person he inherited had great ambitions. I want to tell magicians that Muggles can experience magical talents as long as they work hard. He can't. I simply recruited a dozen untalented students. As a result, the few magician teachers were also angry away. Word got out that there were no teachers. There may also be students who are not talented. Students who have just arrived at the school are clamoring to leave. The original body panicked. Just at this time, Doran, the senior magician of the Magician Association, came to discuss the transfer agreement on behalf of the association. The original person was very reluctant, being suppressed by the magical pressure of the senior magician again. One couldn't bear it anymore and left, leaving behind Xia Shichen, who traveled through time. The good news is, protected by the previous school agreement. Faced with the threat of transferring to another school again, he will have to attend the Magic Academy appraisal meeting a year later. As long as we can train junior magicians at that time, have the qualification to continue running the school. Bad news. He has no teacher. I guess the students have almost left. Everything starts from scratch. The people behind the scenes don't want him to have the qualifications to run a school. You must know that it is difficult to obtain the qualifications to run a school. Not only does it require a territory rich in magic elements, it also requires the permission of the Emperor. A legendary mage guarantees. And the recognition of the 3 Dharma saints. Some background information about running a school. There will be many benefits after the college is established. Now the easiest way to get it is through transfer to other institutions that cannot be run. Not only is it easy to run a school, you can also get the foundation of this college. It is conceivable. There will be a lot of trouble in the future. But these are not what Xia Shichen is most concerned about right now. He knocked on his head. Calm tone. What can I do with the I'm the Principal app? This app is committed to building a top comprehensive institution. Its operation is flexible and not rigid. School leaders decide the app limit. And break down tasks for leaders. Provide school running assistance. The functions currently available in the app include but are not limited to student files, principal information, teaching assistant mall, task planning function. Xia Shichen pondered for a moment. Task creation function? The words just fell. A translucent panel appeared in front of Xia Shichen. Same as the game system he used to play. The above lists the task sections one by one. Main task 1, develop a teaching plan. Task description, an excellent principal. How can you not have excellent teaching qualities? Please formulate a teaching plan for the next year. The app will grade tasks for you. Split it into daily tasks and stage tasks. And give relevant rewards. Note, formulate with caution. The more difficult the teaching plan, the higher the reward. The penalty for not completing the task will be more severe. Main Mission 2, College Growth Plan 1. Task Description, a mature university. Need to be famous. Please work hard to develop the academy now. Try to let more people see it. 0/1000. Task Reward, Principal Value 1000 plus Experience Value 1000. Note, when the experience value reaches 1000, the app can be upgraded. Zikin's eyes were fixed on the two main lines for a while. The entire task section is divided into 4 parts. Main quest. Construction tasks. Achievements. Principal's tasks. Currently, there is one more construction task to renovate the campus. There are 20 tasks with people's names on the achievement tasks. The principal's task is still blank. Maybe related to the free customization of main tasks. Zikin is not in a hurry to complete the task. Instead, he opened the teaching aid mall. As an excellent teacher, he clearly understands. Want to improve student performance. What we need most is a reasonable and easy-to-use teaching aid. Unexpected. Books in the teaching assistant mall are very cheap. The most expensive one is only worth 1 principal. There are even magic teaching videos for sale. It's just a little more expensive. Basics of magic. Basics of mental power. Advanced mental power exercise. History and the victors. Zikin browses the first-level teaching assistant mall. There is more and more fun on the face. I gradually became interested in this amazing app. Unknown territory. Bad start. Very challenging. Oh yes. I think I should first get to know the students who are willing to stay with me. Is it easy to teach? Zikin said to himself as he opened the student file. I want to see if the app is so magical. It turns out, the app certainly lives up to its reputation as a golden finger. 20 student files are neatly arranged in the form of avatar and name. Click on the avatar. You can see various numerical values of students. Race. Age. Current talent value. Zikin clicked in and browsed one by one. Curved lips. Laughed happily. Advanced magic talent. Advanced swordsman talent. Top bright talent. Goodbye. It seems that students who advance and retreat together with ulterior motives. There seems to be quite a few. Zikin puts away his golden fingers. I probably have a plan in mind. He went to the bedroom looking for his original memory. Get ready to change into formal and good-looking clothes. To meet him who is willing to stay. Cute and naughty students. We can't keep students waiting for a long time. House. Ophelia. Let's go to Helwyn's Academy of Magic. Freya looked at the few remaining auditoriums. Full of worry. You heard it too. He is a liar. Your time is running out. Ophelia uneasily smoothed down her long golden braid. Still pursed his lips and shook his head. Just wait a minute. I believe Scritch. That's what it says. Ophelia is not particularly sure. Maybe she just clings to the last piece of driftwood out of habit. Just every chance. She obviously has a high level of magic talent. But I can't learn magic because my magic affinity is low. Ophelia is very reluctant. Since Anshin Screech dares to say that he can. That should have some background, right? Ophelia thought uncertainly. No matter what the price. She always has to do it. There are many students like Ophelia and Freya who are worried. Most of them are civilians without talent. There's nowhere else to go. Instead of going back and continuing to be servants to the nobles for the rest of their lives. It's better to hang around here. Go back with a certificate. The principal promised. They don't need to pay tuition for this special batch of students. Everyone looked at the auditorium door frequently. Time passes little by little. Some people are even worried. Did Principal Screech secretly sign the transfer agreement and leave? Despair. 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 Borui, who was lying on the table playing with a quill, moved his ears slightly. Subconsciously he looked up at the door. That was a series of neat footsteps. Even the severity. There seems to be no difference in the distance. Gradually approaching. Gives people a feeling of touching the soul. Coincidence? Borui thought uncertainly. Next moment. The auditorium door opens. A ray of light shines through the crack in the door. Principal Screech stepped into the auditorium against the light. Despite the light barrier, Borui saw the principal's appearance clearly for the first time. The slightly curly shoulder-length blonde hair was tied into a small pull at the back of the head. Some broken hair modifies the face shape. Wearing one-sided glasses. The exclusive black school robe on the outside wears a very expensive school badge. It makes him melancholy and elegant. But the other person always smiles gently. Dispel melancholy. Like an elegant gentleman. Wearing an emerald ring on her left hand. Borui was convinced that he could see clearly. The back of the hand near the ring. There is also a small black mole. Screech doesn't mind the empty auditorium either. Walk to the stage calmly and on your own. Then, leisurely, touching the inner pocket of his exquisite school robe, pulled out a baton. Borui is full of questions. That's something like a branch. Pointed front and rounded back. More like a baton used by a conductor when playing music. Before he could think clearly, Screech smiled. I tapped the tabletop of the podium with my baton. A small but eye-catching sound instantly awakened the minds of 20 students. Welcome to everyone who has chosen to attend Screech Academy of Witchcraft and Wizardry. I am your guide in your future studies. Head teacher. Instructor. And, the principal. Principal Screech. That is, Xia Shichin held the teaching stick in his hand with a smile. Made a short but informative speech. First. Congratulations to everyone who has been selected by Screech Academy of Magic. Become a part of Screech. Believe me. Here. You will definitely gain the most unforgettable educational journey in your life. Secondly. I think. Chosen to stay. I know Screech fairly well. I won't introduce you to the principal too much. I'll just talk about the key points. As if by magic, Xia Shichin took out the student handbook one that he asked the app to rush to compile from his ring. 0. 1 copy per person. Pick up. You don't have to. Pay attention to a few points. First. The school's initial class hours are from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. and 2 to 5 p.m. The location is room 100 on the first floor of the teaching building. Initial morning exercise time is from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Located in the central small garden. Please don't be late. What? A girl said in surprise. When I noticed Screech's gaze. Closed her mouth tightly again. There's just a trace of uncertainty between the brows. This schedule is too strict. To know. The most important thing in learning magic is to see the resonance between the magician and the elements. Experience perception elements. Absorb elements. When they used to learn magic. Mostly I study magic theory in the morning. Spend the afternoon in nature. Feel the elements freely. Even if it's another magic academy. There is no point in taking a whole day of classes. She wants to refute. But the big guys she knew well were all listening quietly. No intention to refute. She could only endure the anxiety in her heart. Xia Shichin waited for 2 seconds. After making sure no one refutes, he continued leisurely. Second. Our school will conduct a mock assessment every month. The assessment content is based on the current learning content. Ranking after exam. Failed 3 or more times. Terribly sorry. The principal can only repatriate. Speaking of which. Some students suddenly turned pale. Obviously. They saw this as Screech's way of getting rid of untalented students. But Xia Shichin changed the topic. It's all theoretical knowledge that accounts for the most part. We are all carefully selected elites from various places. Hope not to disappoint me. Some students breathed a sigh of relief. And the boy in the blue magician robe who didn't raise his head finally raised his head. He looked at the principal who had not looked at him. Frown. Apparently the principal broke his plan. Xia Shichin has a panoramic view of all expressions. Third. Textbook. Notebook. Workbook. The diaries are all on the stage. Pick it up when you leave. Certainly. Teachers do not force homework and diaries. He has plenty of ways to make them willingly follow his teaching steps. Xia Shichen didn't change a lot as soon as he came here. He knows that local students need some adaptation and reaction time. After explaining the teaching matters, Xia Shichen just patted his sleeves and said dismissal. Leave in a cool and natural way. Like the ultimate spoiler. The students present looked at each other. Long time later. One student asked timidly. Should we take it? Take it. Why don't you take it? Bori came back to his senses. He was the first to walk on stage with a smile. Take one out of the stack. Put it into the space ring easily. If my father knew that I was expelled not long after I entered school. Are you afraid that you will be so angry that you vomit blood? Ophelia also stood up. I took Freya with me and got one set each. She is not in a relaxed mood. Screech acted very unreliable. It made her feel a little worried. Until Ophelia opened the textbooks issued by Screech one by one. Fundamentals and Inspiration of Psychodynamics. Class Notes. Record of Mental Power Utilization Work. Magic Diary. Screech Survival Manual 1. 0. Huh. Ophelia touched the locked magic diary. Surprise. This actually requires private spiritual stimulation. Some of the storage boxes she used to have required mental stimulation. This type of alchemical item is difficult to refine. But it can protect privacy very well. Only your own unique spiritual power can open it. And it doesn't require a lot of mental energy. Even the most ordinary person. Just want to open things up a little bit. Can be used. Very convenient. Ophelia pursed her lips. Opened the textbook with excited eyes. Full of expectations in my heart. Perhaps. Screech has a solution. She can really get what she wants here. Although there are a few students with ulterior motives. But most of them are ordinary civilians. They finally learn to read. Opportunity to learn magic. Cherish it very much. So the first time they get textbooks and manuals is to get as much information as possible. Afraid of being deported and expelled for violating a certain agreement. Naturally, I discovered that the content in these manuals was too thin. The only school rules are that you are not allowed to fight in private and go out of the school at will. All that's left is to tell students where to eat. Where to study. And, listen to the principal. The basic textbook on mental power is quite thick. But the content is dense. With illustrations. Makes one dizzy. No way to start at all. I can't help but feel worried. I can only bite the bullet and read more books. Trying to keep up with the progress. Of course, there are also some that are considered irrelevant even if they don't understand it. What are all these? Verla's sweet voice was filled with disgust. Densely packed like earthworms. Chris. Do you understand? Verla is a noble. Her father is one of the 3 most distinguished dukes in the empire. Vera is proud of who she is. Although she doesn't have much magical talent. But her beautiful and innocent face and noble status are enough for her to live a good life in the future. Vila only needs to be among this group of marriageable nobles. Choose the one that suits you best. Just cultivate feelings. Obviously. Chris is the one that Verla and her family are very fond of. He even didn't hesitate to let Vila follow him to the distant Academy of Desolation, to learn magic. What an irony. She opened the basic spiritual textbook. The pretty eyebrows wrinkled. In a very cute coquettish tone. Look at the boy in blue magic robe next to him. Chris? Chris lowered his eyes and opened a page of the magic notes he had brought. Silent for a few seconds. But he still answered in a calm tone. It's just useless knowledge. Verla pursed her lips and smiled sweetly when she heard this. I think so too. That's what it says. Vela still stuffed the book back into her space ring. After all, she doesn't know how long Chris will stay here. I don't know why. Chris has become increasingly cold towards her in the past 2 years. There is still a lot of distance. Verla must fight to stay. Spend more time with Chris. She doesn't want to be forcibly deported. Delaying her relationship with her future fiancé. The principal himself doesn't care what the students think right now. He's in Screech's storage warehouse, looking for things to sell. The ancestors of the original owner can't blame him. This school is so poor. If it doesn't change, sell some property. I'm afraid I won't be able to last even a month. Searching for a long time. Except for most of the ones with family imprints that cannot be sold. Only a few gems with flaws were found. Can sell some gold coins. But apparently not large enough for Screech's daily operations. Even if most functions are turned off. TSK. Cannot throttle. Then we can only open up more resources. Xia Shichen touched his chin. Try to use the few remaining memories of the original owner as much as possible. Think about ways to make money. Notice. The principal currently owes a debt of 100 principal points. I know. Isn't this a necessary expense? Xia Shichen, a dead pig, is not afraid of being scalded by boiling water. Can I call you Xioxiaxing? I don't understand the knowledge system of this world. How to set teaching tasks. What he said makes some sense. Let the app have nowhere to refute. But looking at the mission, there is still no movement. Just spend 100 principles worth of binders like running water first. The app still feels stuck. Certainly. Xia Shichen didn't mean to waste time and become a knife. His principle is worth more than exchanging teaching tools for students. I just exchanged various books and video tutorials for myself. Be prepared to prepare lessons tonight. Plan the learning process. I have to go to class tomorrow. Still the first quarter. He has to ensure that his courses are attractive and professional. Only in this way can we stabilize the hearts of these students. This is one of the reasons why Xia Shichen's speech was brief. Save time. One of the remaining things is to sell off the property as soon as possible. Pay wages to college cooks and security guards. And purchase supplies. At least within 1 month. Don't let these trivial matters affect his teaching progress. Looking at the few gems left. Xia Shichen sighed softly. It's still not enough. I remember on the personal panel. Shows that my force value is equivalent to a second-level monster. Can you locate the surrounding level 2 and lower monsters? The app does have this function. But, please enter the reason. 1 positioning costs 10 principal points. Xia Shichen entered the reason without blinking, establishing a World of Warcraft park. Broaden students' horizons. After completing the application, Xia Shichen said silently. I also redeemed a lot of alchemy-related textbooks. I have to go back to my old job again. What is Xia Xiken's line of work? He changed into light clothes. I chose a headband with gems to tie my hair. Standing competently and elegantly near the positioning point given by the app. Observe World of Warcraft. This is the closest kind of monster nearby. Because I'm not familiar enough. Xia Shichen even spent 5 principal points to identify the information about Warcraft. My flesh hurts so much. Fire Demon Sheep Beast. First level monster. The strength is equivalent to that of a low-level human swordsman. Magic Apprentice. Delicious meat. Contains some fire magic elements. Eating it can improve blood circulation. Its horn can be used for alchemy. Good stuff. Xia Shichen instantly looked at the fierce demon sheep beast with eyes that were sure to win. He took out his teaching stick. Give it a try by rubbing it a little. Then aim at the eyes of the fierce demon sheep beast. Throw it as hard as you can. What? The tip of the teaching stick penetrated straight into the left eye of the fierce demon sheep beast at a speed that was difficult to distinguish with the naked eye. The devil sheep eats in pain. Lift your front feet high. Balls of flames burst out from the nose. Not too hot. But it can burn the skin. Xia Shichen hunted wild animals for the first time. I'm not afraid at all. Fingers waving gently. The teaching stick purchased in the mall will be automatically returned to its owner. Hold the clean round head. Xia Shichen threw the teaching stick again very quickly. This time. Aiming at the right eye of the demon sheep. The slender but hard teaching rod was inserted hard into the devil sheep's eyes. Then it came straight out from the back of the head. The demon sheep didn't even see his opponent. It gradually became silent. Xia Shichen waited cautiously for a few minutes. I'm sure the devil sheep is dead. Only then did you step out from the big tree not far away. Quite useful. Xiaxichan gave an unstinting evaluation. App. The automatic return function of the teaching stick is for better education. It's not for use as a weapon. The principal app, who has been born with intelligence, couldn't help but reveal a little bit of his emotions. Aren't you a teacher? It has been following Xiaxichan for nearly 5 years. Although often asleep. But it was only when it saw with its own eyes that Xiaxichan was rated as an exceptional teacher that he decided to bind it. Why is this so old? So. Xiaxichan sighed. When I went to the countryside to teach. The students are suffering. No chance to eat meat. I can only eat 2 meals a day. He used a calm tone. It's like talking about a small thing. Learning consumes brain cells. How can you not even afford meat? For the nourishment of those lovely and motivated students. I opened several breeding farms in the countryside. Catching chickens, sheep, and geese is my specialty. Certainly. What Xiaxichan didn't say was. He not only opened a breeding farm. An orchard was also opened in Baoshan. I took the nutritionist certification exam. His old profession is not ordinary. But this is enough for the app to shut up. It can only comfort itself. At least the professional is very relevant. This principal is a special teacher. She also cares about students' health. Very profitable. Then. It saw the principal who cared about the students personally read the contents of the book. Cook Ding explains the sheep. And gave the chef recipes and preparation methods for the coming week. After even using a space ring for food storage. App shocked. Maybe this is called good luck. Screech Academy of Magic is a large school built on a mountain. There is a strong element of magic here. Very suitable for practicing magic. But compared to the dilemma of not having a senior tutor to teach, this advantage doesn't matter anymore. Because the Magic Academy occupies a large area. In today's fiscal deficit, many college facilities are in dilapidated condition. No chance for repair. The whole college looks very depressed. Slightly better near the student teaching area. But it's still incomparable to other magic schools. To put it nicely, it's called ancient. It's ugly to say it's old-fashioned. Standing in a small garden that is so barren that there is no trace of green. 20 students' faces turned green. That's it? Small garden? What is morning exercise? Familiar. Get together in groups. Whispering about his troubles and worries. There are also lonely people. Standing aside motionless. It's just the frown that shows the inner unrest. Oh my God. This is simply more deserted than the countryside. Only a few students in the class have space rings. Most students don't have. I can only stand there holding my backpack. Don't know where to put my backpack. I don't even know what morning exercises are for. Someone whispered. Sensing magical elements? But none of them have started. Not even talented. What should we use to perceive it? When everyone is worried. Xiaxichan walked as briskly as ever. Came over slowly. He was still wearing the black school robe. Inside, he changed into a dark purple uniform. Also wearing the school badge and various gorgeous gem decorations. I specially put on white gloves today. The emerald stuck on it is extremely conspicuous. It seems that everyone is on time today. Xiaxichan took out a brass pocket watch from his chest. Glancing at the time. Gentle smile. Very good. They are all good and obedient children. The students were silent. As for what you think, they have to know it themselves. Verla is more impulsive. Seeing Xiaxichan's gentle expression. When I think about doing morning exercises in this messy and deserted place. She was resisting all over. This is not what a lady should do. After Chris saw her ugly appearance. How could she agree to be her fiancé? So. She couldn't help but make a sound. Do you have to do morning exercises in this place? It's too dirty and messy. Screech is so big. Can't we choose a clean place? Xiaxichan lowered his head and glanced at the ground. Very clean. Not a trace of weed. Of course. Yesterday he spent a lot of time talking to the principal. Let the app help remove the grass. There's no way it's not cleaned up. Xia Shichin chuckled. Dear. Maybe later. You will appreciate the desolation of this land. Verla? Don't wait for Vila to think clearly. Xia Shichin just gave me a few high fives. After attracting everyone's attention. Announce the content of today's morning exercise. Early morning is when the mind is clearest. It is also the best time to recite. Considering everyone's first day of school. You may not be used to this kind of intensity of practice. There is no reading process today. But Xia Shichin loves her so much that she can speak English easily, but very interesting. A strong body. It allows everyone to learn magic. Go further. So, our only morning exercise task today is running. What? Vila lost her temper and exclaimed. Are you kidding me? I'm a delicate magician. A magician. Borui thinks so. Yes, principal. A magician is not a swordsman. You don't need to build a strong body, right? Although he is a swordsman. But if you run non-stop for an hour, you'll still be tired. Furthermore, he doesn't want others to know either. The fact that the youngest son of the Sally family has excellent martial arts talent. Verla saw someone supporting her. Hold your head high. Full of pride. Principal Screech. I don't think we need such a time-wasting course. Xia Shichin looked at Chris, who had been silent, with a smile. Hit the snake 7 inches. Chris. Do you think so too? Among 20 students. Whether openly or secretly. Chris may not be the most talented. But it must be the highest level. Became a junior magician at the age of 15. Even full of magic power. There is a faint tendency to advance to the intermediate level. Nature. When Xia Shichin called his name, all the students' eyes subconsciously turned to Chris. This young man wearing a primary water magic robe. Chris frowned. Although he has no more affection for Vila than a sister. In recent years, due to some reasons, I have gradually distanced myself from Verla. But anyway. He also recognized Vila personally. The sister we have been with for more than 10 years. He strongly disagreed with letting his delicate sister participate in this seemingly inhumane run. Certainly. He himself doesn't want to run. What magician needs to exercise on his own? They will naturally use magical elements to train their bodies. Just like his Dharma Saint grandfather. Chris could guess that Principal Screech wanted him to support him. But he can't say anything against his will. So Chris shook his head. Road. My grandfather never told me. Magicians need to rely on external forces to exercise. The voice fell. Vila couldn't help but called Chris' name. She knew it. Chris still has her in his heart. Really? Xia Shichin looked very surprised. Then when you face the swordsman's attack. How to deal with it? Is it really possible to recite a spell in its entirety? The magic spell is very long. Chris calmly analyzed, we are not stupid. Won't let the swordsman get close. In fact, this is indeed the case. The clumsy swordsman has no chance of getting close to us, right? Xia Shichin nodded with a smile. 2. So can you do it? Chris retorted unconvinced. Of course I can. Xia Shichin smiled and said nothing, as if he was mocking him. Chris is angry. Even some indescribable displeasure. Although he acted calm. Very restrained. But he is also proud. He is proud of his talent. At only 15 years old, he can vaguely grasp the threshold of an intermediate magician. You will also feel contempt for those who are not as good as you. It's just his aristocratic etiquette that makes him hide these things deeply. Just a muggle. Chris thought. If my grandfather hadn't said that Screech Academy has records of forbidden magic spells, Screech would never see him in his life. Thinking. Screech's calm gaze suddenly became piercing. Chris silently recited the incantation without hesitation. I need to give Screech some color. Op. He just moved his mouth. Screech looked slow. In fact, he quickly took out the teaching stick he carried with him. Almost in the blink of an eye. Chris stood stiffly. Eyes as blue as the sea are full of fear. Even the brown curly hair stood up straight. Shouting about danger. Screech doesn't know when. Throw the teaching stick at his throat. There was only a layer of skin between the tip and his Adam's apple. It's like you can feel the cold feeling of the metal. Chris has a premonition. If he continues to recite the curse, this sharp teaching stick will go straight into his throat. I saw Chris standing there blankly. Xiashichan raised his eyebrows in surprise. Oops. I'm really sorry. I thought all magician's spells were instantaneous. Worry about getting hurt. Just take the first shot. Xiashichan complained slightly in an ups and downs tone. Fortunately, the teaching stick is an alchemy item. Can float and stagnate. Otherwise, I am not a good teacher who sets a good example for others. Right. He looked at Chris. Honey. I'm just an ordinary Muggle. Your spells are so slow that even Muggle attacks can't keep up. Is it time to reflect? Chris? What a joke. He is so familiar with low-level magic spells that it only takes 10 seconds to recite the spell once. 10 seconds. This is a speed that even intermediate magicians can hardly achieve. Besides, is this really as fast as a Muggle can achieve? Is Screech really not a swordsman? This brings us to the definition of Muggles in this magical world. Only if you can't practice magic. People who can't practice martial arts either. To be called a Muggle. I really can't blame Chris for being dismissive. Who would have thought? Chris looks ugly. Subconsciously tilt your eyes slightly. Looking at Borui diagonally in front of him. Borui was silent for several seconds. Shaking his head sadly. Signaling that he can't do it. Chris is desperate. Who on earth spread the news that Screech was an untalented Muggle? There was silence in the venue. Even Vera, who originally raised his head, lowered his head nervously. I'm afraid that the damn teaching stick will be pointed at my neck in the next moment. Xiashichan is another petty person. I can't move the teaching stick. Just looked straight at the 20 students. Ask with a gentle and gentlemanly smile. My dear little sir. Little ladies. It's getting late today. Are you willing to start morning exercise? If nothing unexpected happens. I really don't like procrastination. Do they just like to drag people around? Students dare to be angry but dare not speak out. Nodding one after another. Vila bit her lower lip. Stumbling. But I'm wearing a skirt. Very difficult to run. How? What to do? For refinement. She puts on a new dress every day. Today is a knee-length skirt. With panniers. Layer upon layer. Very beautiful. Xiashichan has a smile in his eyes. I think. We are proud that Verla can overcome difficulties. Finish today's training. Yes or no? Verla wants to cry but has no tears. Final. 20 students lined up according to Xiazikin's instructions. Then I got a morning jog map. Borui was the first one. According to his observation. The principal lined up the team. It seems to be based on everyone's physical ability. But he's not so sure. Because between him and Chris. Also interspersed with several classmates. Although Chris is a delicate magician. But after being baptized by magic power, his physical fitness is much better than that of ordinary students. Borui suppressed his suspicions. At Screech's command. The first one started trotting. Borui thought, well. Run slowly with the big group. It won't be exposed. Kid. Your speed is not up to standard. Xiashichan, who didn't know when he appeared, chuckled and threw the teaching stick. Sigh. Since everyone has no motivation. Then I can only help you. Help? How can I help? An ominous premonition flashed through the minds of the students. An hour later. 20 students who looked like dead dogs gasped. Collapsed in room 000 of the teaching building. No one cares about whether the table is clean. Is it worn out? My mind is completely blank. Even think about the morning exercise this morning. They all acted like they were in pain. Too scary. How could Screech have so many means? Boris still has a little bit of energy left. Logically speaking, he shouldn't act like a rude bull. But, damn. The principal's eyes are like a standard ruler. When I see him slacking off, I whip the teaching stick at him. You can even tell whether he is too weak or just lazy to conserve his strength. It's like a tapeworm in his brain. In the second half of the journey, we left the small garden. Only then did Burry understand why Screech began by saying that Vila would be grateful for the desolation of this land. Out of the small garden. They didn't just pull away the weeds and run one step at a time. I almost fell down while holding on to the gravel beach. Or it's hard to walk on wet mud that has been poured with unknown amounts of water. Borui has never suffered like this in his life. He also ran a lap faster than others because of his better physique. But Borui subconsciously looked at Vila and Chris as the only 3 students who came out to challenge Screech. All 3 of them were extremely miserable. Chris' face is covered in mud and weeds. Verla even took off her high heels and panniers for the entire second half of the run. I've been slumped on the table for a long time and haven't recovered yet. Miserable. Borui whispered. Next time, I won't be the one who stands out. Xia Shichen is not such a devilish person either. He even thoughtfully asked the chef to deliver breakfast to the classroom. Each student was handed a wet handkerchief. Breakfast is just slices of bread and a bowl of hot deviled goat soup. If there is no morning run in the morning. Maybe some aristocratic students will find the breakfast boring. But now, hungry and bullied, they just wanted to have a good meal. Poor Screech. The students who finally had enough to eat and drank slumped on their chairs, staggering around. Xia Shichen didn't force it. It's the first day. It always goes by quickly. I didn't expect time to fly by so fast. It'll be 9 o'clock soon. It seems that everyone is a little slower today. Slowed down the course. Everyone felt sick to their stomachs after listening to these high-sounding words. Slow down. Slow. Do you want their lives? Xia Shichen touched his chin. The time setting is indeed a bit unreasonable. So be it. From now on, morning exercise will be changed to morning reading plus Tai Chi. Our workout is moved to the evening. It's best at 8 or 9 o'clock. You can fall asleep after running. What a wonderful trip. Students. Wirla didn't care about eating or beating. Weak question. What is Tai Chi? Oh. Just simply stretch. Xia Shichen caressed the teaching stick very kindly. No fuss with students. In the future, when mental mechanics is solid, we can also add another mental exercise in the morning. Oh my God. Just thinking about it makes me feel that this morning is so wonderful. Verla was unable to complain. Use your toes to think and know who is beautiful. Who is thinking? No matter how poor you are, you cannot lack education. No matter how fast time passes. Even if it means dragging Tang Tang to make up for the time. Xia Shichen also wants to take today's class. I think everyone hasn't recovered yet. Learning efficiency cannot be improved. Xia Shichen did not immediately talk about the boring principles of mental power. But in a more roundabout, humorous and attractive way. Guide everyone's attention to learning. Don't be in a hurry to go to class. I'd love to chat with you all. Xia Shichen smiled. The long gloved fingertips pinched the chalk in his hand. Very elegant. Do you know what this is? The students were silent for a while. Maybe someone knows. But I dare not speak. Most of them are from civilian backgrounds. Xia Shichen didn't feel embarrassed or left out. To tell you in detail. This is chalk. The board behind me is called a blackboard. It's something common people often see when they go to school. It's also when Muggles like us teach students. Auxiliary tools needed. Notice children stress towards Muggles. Xia Shichen blinked. As you can see, I really don't know magic. Nor can it absorb magic elements. But I always believe in a wise saying. Genius is 99% sweat. Plus 1% inspiration. Inspiration is the most important. But the vast majority of people. Most achievements achieved. Not even to the point of struggling for inspiration. Then I think. Does it mean the practice of magic? Is this also true? Xia Shichin is proficient in the art of sound. Talk eloquently. Soft voice. Let the students in the venue gradually calm down. Showing a thoughtful expression. He paused slightly. Turned the talk. Continue. Then, I started to explore the magic elements. Research on magical affinity. I finally got a surprising result not long ago. This time. This made the students subconsciously prick up their ears. Listen carefully. Xia Shichin adjusted his single-sided glasses with the hand holding the teaching stick. He said with a smile, I have studied magic, alchemy, martial arts, and weapon refining for decades. Found a very surprising data. Magicians may have talents. There is a difference in affinity. But no matter what level of magician, their mental training is very rough. On the contrary, alchemists often make gold. Most of their mental powers are much higher than those of magicians of the same level. And those of them with magical talents. It can easily win in battles of the same level. Their activation time is very fast. Gathering magic elements takes less time. Control magic more accurately. Elemental affinity has also been significantly improved. Even magic storage. Better than ordinary magicians. Come in vastness. Recent example. It's the tower capturing battle between the legendary water mage Alara and the legendary fire mage Leonard. Speaking of which. No need for Xia Shichin to seduce you again. All the students were immersed in this discourse. Including Chris, who originally looked down on Xia Shichin. The example given by Xia Shichin is really good. The legendary mage Alila is his idol. The goal he wants to pursue in his life. And Leonard and Alara are big figures that even ordinary people are familiar with. This is the kind of thing where you can hear news about idols when you are very close to them. Lifted everyone's spirits. Who knows? Xia Shichin stopped talking again. He continued to talk. I guess. Mental power plays a vital role in the use of magic. Therefore, I read the records. Finally found this textbook. Mental Power Foundation and Stimulation. Hope that in the future, I can use it to lay a good foundation for everyone. Stimulate mental power for more uses. Become stronger. Believe me. When you use your mental power extremely skillfully, your future. Inestimable. The young faces of the students were full of excitement and longing. It's not that I haven't been painted before. This cake is really too sweet. They are eager to taste. I am willing to believe in this one in 10,000 possibility. Alright. Everyone's atmosphere is aroused. It's time to start the main text. Xia Shichin lowered his head and opened the textbook. It's densely packed with comments. It's something he came up with after staying up all night. Chris saw that Xia Shichin had opened the textbook. Obviously we are about to enter the next step. He couldn't help but ask aloud. Principal Screech. Xia Shichin raised his eyes. Chris pursed his lips. Still have the courage. Overcome the shadow that Xia Shichin brought to him today. That. Excuse me. Can you tell us something? In the tower capturing battle between Alara and Leonard, how did they use mental power? The eyes of the surrounding students suddenly became bright. This. Xia Shichin raised his eyebrows slightly. The voice is full of laughter. Don't worry. Children. Our course has just begun. No. The battle to seize the tower, well. It'll have to wait until the history of magical war and 100 magical uses of mental power to explain it in detail later. After? Chris touched the only textbook he had. It's a book thicker than his thumb. It contains words as densely packed as ants. How long will it take for this to happen? Sit down depressed. But Chris still forced himself to listen carefully to Xia Xikin's lecture. Since I can't hear the idol story, then try to find loopholes in Screech's words. Just refute the other person. 40 minutes later. Rest for 10 minutes first. Let's sort out our thoughts. Then we continue. The gentle and affable Principal Screech announced the intermission. Chris comes to his senses. I found myself immersed in that gentle voice for 40 minutes without noticing anything. The little guy's face instantly turned ugly and ashamed. It made Xia Shichen want to take a picture of him. Others are also recalling it with great interest. They found that the textbooks that were originally difficult to understand became easier to understand. I can't help but feel complicated. It turns out that Principal Screech. I really did a lot of research. I also know a lot. Realize this fact. Among 20 students, the most excited people are not the untalented civilians, but Ophelia. She has extremely high magical talent. Now Screech tells her. If you cultivate your mental strength well, to increase magic affinity, this is simply pie in the sky. Ophelia couldn't help it. Hold Freya's hand tightly. Freya. My future is no longer empty. I don't have to make that wedding vase either. Freya naturally knew what Ophelia was referring to. She was also excited for Ophelia. Will. The principal is worthy of being a member of the Screech family. It's very useful. Even if I don't know what the future will be like. Even if I only saw a little bit of Screech's strength. Freya still couldn't hide her excitement. This means Her Highness has the opportunity to become even better. Not an outcast abandoned by the royal family. No more insignificant. Even if there is only one chance in 10,000. Freya will also go to pray. To believe. To witness His Highness's supreme achievements. God of Light is above. Pity Her Highness. Let Your Highness be the light of Ace. Students have never felt that 10 minutes is so long. I even had Screech take a whole morning of class. But Xia Shichen is still not that sick. Overall, it is a combination of work and rest. After 3 classes, he left 40 minutes for everyone to sort out their notes. By the way, I informed you about the afternoon course. If someone's notes have been sorted out, you can choose to preview. After all, people get tired easily in the afternoon. If you're not paying attention, knowledge points may slip by. In the remaining 40 minutes, the only sound in the entire lecture theater was the sound of children brushing and sliding their pen tips. And extremely quiet whispers. Xia Shichen is sitting on the podium. A 1-year plan to be submitted to the school. Work hard to pay off debt. By the way, I am thinking about taking time to hunt a few more live monsters and raise them. King Wan's life is so simple and unpretentious. And monotonous. The efficiency of King Wan is also extraordinary. In less than 40 minutes, Xia Shichen has already perfected his plans for the next year. And formulated a rough growth plan for each student. How to say? App looked at the thick stack of plans that were so detailed that it was hard to make mistakes. In addition to lamenting that some people are born to eat this bowl of rice. No more ideas. Congratulations to the principal for completing the main task, developing a teaching plan. Current teaching planning rating, S level. Your excellence is unparalleled. Your thoughtfulness is impeccable. You will receive a reward, 1,000 principal points plus 1,000 experience points. I am the principal. App will be planned according to the coming year. Principal tasks are formulated for you. The app meets the upgrade standards. Automatically upgraded. There will be an 8-hour upgrade period. Please wait for the good news. Xia Shichen. The students are still there. He doesn't want to be a fool talking to himself. Try typing manually to communicate with the app. I wrote an S-level teaching plan. Just give it a principal value of 1,000. Not enough debt to pay off, right? The app will be offline and upgraded soon. When I heard the doubt, I came out and explained it. The maximum starting reward for teaching planning is 1,000 points. But the more detailed and high-quality teaching planning, the more personal tasks can be generated in the subsequent daily life. Achieve the purpose of continuously accumulating principal points. And the principal has the experience of completing an S-level mission once. Credibility is improved. Get more support for future loans. Loan? Xia Shichen raised his eyebrows with interest. Can I get it on credit without spending extra money? Why should I take a loan? When interest rates are dead? App. You're going to die and become a deadbeat, right? I don't know if I'm angry. Still focusing on upgrading. Subsequent apps have ignored Xiaxichan. And because their class time was postponed by an hour and a half. Everyone arrived at 12:30. School has just officially ended. Xiaxichan pays attention to efficiency. He was the first one to sneak out of the classroom after class. Chris, who was about to ask him how magical the tower battle was, stood still. Full of annoyance. What are you in a hurry for? You'll learn it sooner or later, right? Bo Roy said carelessly. Rather attentive. I'm afraid you'll feel like vomiting when you see Olila. Chris retorted coldly. There's no way I'm going to vomit when I see Olila. Lady Olila is my lifelong idol. Burry shrugged. No comment on the words of Olila's little fan. For him anyway. The course is really interesting. But once I return to books. Thinking of those densely packed words. Borui already wants to vomit. I even feel like I'm on the verge of death. Sighed. Borui put away his books and blank notes. He habitually observes his surroundings. Happy. Hey bro. You didn't take notes either? He turned his head. Sitting diagonally behind him was a good brother who hated studying as much as he did. Don't talk about the notebook. Even the textbooks are empty. No trace left. Huh. The good brother tilted his head in confusion. Things you can remember once you listen to them. Why should we remember it? Or we? He was determined to ask one more question. Can I ask? Why do you come to Screech if you are so strong? The other party was silent for a while. A little shy. Thank you for your compliment. But I have no magic talent or affinity for magic. Physical fitness is not good enough. The principal said he would let me learn magic. I'm coming. Borui gave up. My heart is full of shock. So are all Muggles so smart? Suddenly I felt ashamed of my high magic and martial arts talent QAQ. In the forest near the college. Xiaxichan is struggling to hunt monsters. He is not very familiar with his current body yet. Fortunately, it's a physical attack. If you try it a few times, you'll get used to it. I just want to ensure the integrity of Warcraft. Make him somewhat constrained. A noontime. He also hunted a dozen first-level monsters. Mostly one male and one female. If there is no surprise. Still worthy of planting. Xiaxichan spent more energy. Separated by an iron cage. Several simple first-order Warcraft zones were opened. Waiting for these young and strong monsters to bring a prosperous fortune to his breeding farm. Certainly. If these monsters don't know how to praise. Xiaxichan can only return to his old profession again. After dealing with the habitats of these monsters. His zoo project has come to an end today. In the afternoon, continue the basic spiritual course. It's not that Xiaxichan doesn't want to do more tricks. The basics of mental strength are indeed quite difficult. If he adds more courses. Students are easily distracted. Poor foundation. It will be difficult to promote subsequent teaching. Although a bit monotonous. He is also trying his best to make students feel novel. For example. Write homework. Alright. That's it for today's lesson. I hope you can review it well when you go back. Don't forget today's knowledge points. Xiaxichan threw the chalk in his hand into the chalk bucket. Slowly take off your white gloves. Looking at the little students below who are waving their pens and creating afterimages. Curve the corners of his mouth. It's the kind of writing he likes. Xiaxichan casually threw his white gloves into the storage ring. Then he pushed the blackboard upwards. It turns out that behind this big blackboard, they were also blocked by the same blackboard. Grouped together. There is more space for writing on the blackboard. The students are even more desperate. Although I can understand this lesson. But that doesn't mean they aren't afraid of more notes. But the new blackboard content is a series of data. I don't know when Xiaxichan wrote it. You haven't forgotten the homework book handed out yesterday, right? Xiaxichan smiled and tapped the blackboard with the teaching stick. Attract the attention of young students. Theoretically. Every day I will give you an assignment. But since everyone is so interested in the tower battle between Alara and Leonard today, I can't bear to deprive everyone of their right to expand their knowledge. The students have not figured out what the turning point is between the daily homework and the battle to capture the tower. Their teachers with elegant smiles have thoughtfully explained everyone's doubts. I give everyone a chance. Find out for yourself why Alara succeeded in seizing the tower. Systematically write down your analysis in your workbook. Hand it in a week later. Let me see if everyone's love for Alila can help you hand in a satisfactory answer. Students. Led a group of Muggles who didn't even get in. To analyze the reasons for the victory of the legendary mage. Are you serious? Yes. Xie Shichen is serious. He also provided help to everyone in a very organized manner. The teacher gives you some tips. First. The library has a lot of relevant data. I have a list of relevant data here. Needed. You can come to me to get it. Certainly. Distinguish whether the data is reliable and what is needed. It is a required course for you. Second. On my left. It is the data converted from Olraf's magical strength back then. On the right is Leonard's. Numerical values do not generalize. But it can be used as an auxiliary analysis. This time. Is the task much easier? The students stared blankly at the series of numbers and almost unknown words on the blackboard. Severely silent. Xie Shichen sighed. Don't have too much pressure. Just think of it as a fun assignment. If it's because of my indulgence. Make you ignore the study in class. I will be lost. It's just that I want to. Instead of me telling you how Mage Alara won. It's better to let everyone find the answer by themselves. Go and witness it with your own eyes. To know. The process of pursuing truth is always long and interesting. No? Really? Chris looked thoughtful. They practice magic. Isn't it the process of seeking to verify the truth? Screech can sum up the reasons why Alara won. Why can't he? That is. Chris looked at Xie Shichen. Verify. Will there be an answer? He's asking Screech. Analysis of the success of this tower capture. Are the feat authoritative enough? Xie Shichen smiled happily. Dare to question. Be careful to verify. You are a good boy. Chris rarely blushed. I just don't trust Screech. Xie Shichen blinked. Pretending to be playful. Sure. I promise. Although you may still have a partial understanding of the standard answer. But where I can understand. You won't question it. This is the answer he got after summarizing many teaching aids and books. May not be complete. But it will never be inaccurate. Chris is relieved. He promised. 1 week. I will complete the task. Try my best. Xie Shichen nodded. Looking at the 19 quails as quiet as chickens. What about you? My dear little classmates. Don't you want to find out with your own hands the secret to the victory of the strong? The little classmates instantly said in unison. Think. Very good. As expected of a student who dared to apply to Screech College. Courage. Will. Determination and wisdom. None of you are lacking. Xie Shichen praised with emotion. I haven't seen such outstanding students for a long time. The little classmates were almost blown away by the praise. Principal Screech praised them. They at this moment. Immersed in the joy of being praised by the wise principal. Completely forgotten. The principal was once a person they looked down upon. Worry about unreliable muggles. After cheering for the little students. Xie Shichen started leaking oil. Bori. Chris. Vieira. The 3 conspicuous bags who were named were confused. But he still stood up politely. Look at Xie Shichen. Xie Shichen pointed at the blackboard. Tone as usual. I am a teacher who distinguishes rewards and punishments. Since the 3 little students disrupted the teaching order today. Let everyone postpone their meal time. Stay today. Clean the blackboard for the teacher. Xie Shichen saw the 3 people looked ugly. The conversation changed. Several little classmates seemed to be people who pay attention to etiquette. Can't you accept the punishment? Of course not. Vieira retorted subconsciously. Seeing Xie Shichen's successful smile. Half annoyed and half angry. I'll just wipe it. Don't be too early. The students haven't written down the important data yet. Xie Shichen bent his eyes. Her beautiful and deep eyes reveal a smile as soft as moonlight. Then the teacher will leave first. I hope to see a clean and tidy lecture theater tomorrow. Goodbye. Even the classroom sanitation was contracted out quietly. Everyone looked at Xie Shichen flicking the non-existent chalk dust on his body. Put the teaching stick into the inner pocket. Leave cleanly through the front door. Only then did I realize. The white gloves he has been wearing since today. Maybe I just don't want to get stained with chalk dust. Not a gentleman. I can leave now. Xie Shichen's pace is as steady as ever. There is a hint of lightness again. As if in a good mood. With good eyesight, they can still see Xie Ziken's new headband today. A brown headband with a blue bear gem. Super conspicuous. And cute. Swaying gently with the owner's steps. At once. Oh my God. He wanted to tell me. Did he have a good day? Bo Ruijian couldn't hear the footsteps. Then he complained helplessly. More devilish than my father. Oh God. I don't think I need to see Alila. I feel like vomiting now. As a bad student. Borui believes that this kind of clerical activity of looking up information and writing analysis is not suitable for him at all. Asado. Would you like to give me a lesson? He turned around. Look at Asado with your round puppy eyes. Eyebrows slightly wrinkled. Poor. Trying to arouse Asado's pity. Asado. The guy with such a strong memory that he doesn't need to take notes. Now it has become Borui's life-saving straw. Counting on Chris? Forget it. That turtle-haired man would probably drag him along to find information. When Borui thought of the scene. I wish I could just die. Asado is a little embarrassed. Bori. It's not that I won't help you. Only. He pointed at the homework book. Sigh. There seems to be a magic device on it. Will automatically check for duplication. Borui. Automatic duplication checking? What's the meaning? He subconsciously opened his homework book. No need to try. On the first page of the homework book, there was a line of advice written in beautiful cursive characters. My dear children. In order to cultivate everyone's independent thinking. Reject the habit of getting something for nothing. Principal, I have set up a very novel thing for my homework book. Automatic duplication checking. These 20 assignments are related to each other. If it is similar words without logical logic. Even if it is to reorganize the language. It's also impossible to write it down. P.S. Please indicate the source when quoting book content. Otherwise, I can't write it down. Borui. Devil. Anshin Screech is the devil. The devil seeking life. Borui wants to cry but has no tears. The whole person collapsed on the table like a salted fish. Vila rolled her eyes. Okay, Borui. Everyone finished copying and left. It's time for us to clean the classroom. Vila pouted. Carrying that ordinary broom that looked a little dirty. Extremely wronged. How come there's not even a magic broom here? Too barren. How could she have suffered like this at home? Just get used to it. Chris adapted very quickly. Hurry up. I also need to go to the library. He must. Must be clear. How did Alila, who was obviously weak, win the battle for the tower? Although the three noble schoolmates were reluctant. But the speed is pretty fast. Around 6 p.m. Chris finished his dinner. Go to the library he misses smoothly. The tissue paper in hand is the book list given by the principal. Chris marked out the books he thought were more important. Decision depends on the situation. Borrow as many books as possible and go back to read them. Even if it costs a small amount of gold coins. He's a bit arrogant. I memorized the names of books several times. To avoid making temporary mistakes. But to his disappointment. Screech's library. No one exists. The densely packed books on the wall were placed in front of him as if they were worthless. The only thing that attracts attention. This is a sentence in front of the library. See the book index next to it? See the ladder in the corner? Find what you need by yourself. Register. Oh yes. Remember to return the book within 30 days. If delayed. But contribution points will be deducted. That's it? Think about it before you come. His father said to him sincerely. Chris. You are my father's best child. He is also the child with the highest magical talent in the family. I'm very reluctant to send you to Screech, who is already in decline. But the child. In order not to be disqualified from running a school, Screech. Manage those ancient data very strictly. Only by becoming a student there. Only you have a chance. Saw the forbidden scroll. See the shadow of ancient magic books. Father believes in you. We can definitely waste those valuable information on Screech. Brought back. Looking back again. Huge library. Ancient books neatly arranged. On soft carpet. On low desk. Various magic books and parchments are scattered around. There are some faint traces of formations. The shadow of the forbidden demon scroll? Chris looked at the scroll scattered on the floor. He even suspected that there was something in it that his father had dreamed of. He became confused. If you know that you have been misunderstood by Chris as a luxury, Xia Shichen will definitely have to defend himself. He is not extravagant. He is so poor that he is heavily in debt. There are many books in the library. Also covered with soft carpets. With bright magic lamp. Xia Shichen really couldn't bear to part with such an excellent feng shui site. So I set up camp in the library. Those scrolls scattered all over the floor. Various books. They are all traces left by him studying the textbooks of this world. Because the homework is assigned on a temporary basis. Naturally, I didn't realize what was wrong with it. When you realize. All the words are out of my mouth. It doesn't matter to Xia Shichen. In comparison. The teaching aids in the teaching aid mall are quite cheap. Maybe the app is the same as him. I believe that no matter how poor you are, you can't afford education. All given our family prices. Can also pay on credit. App, I thank you. During app upgrade time. Xia Shichen is not idle either. At this point, it's not time for him to study the textbooks. I simply went to the college's laboratory to do some research. Screech's laboratory has not been used for a long time. Covered with dust. Fortunately, the experimental supplies are quite complete. Can support Xia Shichen in training his alchemy skills. After all, the alchemist profession is almost the same as the pharmaceutical profession. They all dispense medicines. Oh. Some alchemists can also refine magic tools such as space rings. Known as master alchemist. But that has nothing to do with Xia Shichen for the time being. Xia Shichen didn't want to figure out how they differentiated their professions. His mission today. Just based on the knowledge from books. Preparing an estrus potion that can be used by Warcraft. And improve the formula. With soothing effect. He doesn't want to breed. Make a mess of your own zoo. Xia Shichen recalled the knowledge points. I first made an original potion to practice my skills. It turns out. It will be difficult to cross a professional field. Even if Xia Shichen has enough knowledge and skills. Nor can you succeed in an unfamiliar field at once. He is not discouraged either. Continue to concentrate and calm down. Analyze your first mistake. Make improvements. And replace some expensive raw materials. The Screech family's fortune really doesn't allow him to spend too much money. Xia Shichen showed great care. Staring at the reagent little by little. The time is even accurate to the second. Finally. During the second experiment. A sizzling sound sounded. Accompanied by a thick white fog. A light pink potion lies quietly in the reagent bottle. His breeding potion. Success. Even though he is as steady as Xia Shichen. I couldn't help but relax my eyebrows. Laughed out loud. Very good. The next step is to improve it according to my ideas. Xia Shichen muttered to himself and threw himself into work. Suddenly remembered a fatal point. The growth cycle of Warcraft seems to be quite long. No. In this way. How does he recover funds quickly? Xia Shichen kept looking at the pink potion. Breeding plans one after another rolled through my mind. Final shape. Small profits but quick turnover. Such cheap Warcraft meat. Even if the energy is slightly lower. Presumably the mercenaries will forgive him, right? Xia Zikan's financial path can be considered stable. He was busy in the laboratory until 9 o'clock in the evening. It's getting late. He has to go back to the library to prepare lessons and lesson plans. Xia Shichen hurriedly left the laboratory again. The whole person is busy in capital letters. It's when I go to prepare lessons. There was a little accident. Xia Shichen looked at the students sitting in a circle around several big tables in the library with complicated eyes. Puzzled. Can't I borrow books? Why can't I read them in the dormitory? Their student dormitory in Screech is pretty good. Not only single room. Each room is also equipped with a desk. Small sofa. Carpets and some alchemical daily necessities activated by magic stones. Very luxurious. Xia Shichen really didn't expect why they didn't go back so late. A dozen students were also surprised when they saw Xia Shichen. Principal Screech. Ophelia is now wearing round glasses. Appeared gentle and polite. Headmaster. Are you here to see us? They didn't know why the principal came here so late. Ophelia could only venture a guess. It's because the lights in their library are too bright. She apologized gently. I'm sorry, Principal. Freya and I saw a room full of books. Momentarily fascinated. Forgot the time. I disturbed you. Let's leave after reading this last point. This is simply Ophelia's paradise. In fact, many people think so too. No wonder those hidden forces always want to annex Screech. This room full of books. They are all treasures. Even people like Borui who are tired of learning. They all had to cheer up. Memorize some useful magic books as much as possible and go back. Although he can't use it. But his family might be able to move to a higher level because of this. Certainly. There are also students who just follow the crowd. Because those big guys who they thought were very powerful have not left. They are also afraid that they will be left behind if they do not work hard enough. Don't dare to leave. I can only bite the bullet and continue reading in the library. Fortunately, Screech's library also has a lot of travel notes. It's not boring to watch either. On the contrary, I can learn a lot. Maybe it's because everyone has impure intentions. The first time I saw Xia Shichen, there was an unspeakable feeling of guilt in their hearts. It's a bit despicable. Need not. The temperature of the library is suitable. The lights are just right. It's a very suitable place for studying. You are willing to learn. It's Screech Academy's greatest luck. Xia Shichen pushes up his glasses. Smiling and comforting. Don't worry. Relax here as if you were at home. I also like reading here. Believe me. As long as it doesn't delay tomorrow's class. You just watch it all night. I don't mind either. I will only be happy for you. His gentle words made everyone sigh in relief. They are also relieved. Looking at the books in my hands. They also didn't forget to peek at their principal from the corner of their eyes. I saw that the principal was as relaxed as entering his own home. He relaxed and took off his school robe, revealing the soft cotton pajamas that I don't know when to change. Then pull off the little bear gems headband. Feel free to loosen your scalp. Barefoot. Walking lazily to the messy scroll. Open magic book. And various notes in front of the table. The principal casually took out a huge soft bear doll from the ring to use as a seat cushion. Take out another plate of pastries. A cup of black tea placed in sequence. Then he sat down lazily. Hold the pen and start preparing lessons. He knows the location of all the cluttered books. No need to look for it at all. When needed, you can reach it with your hand. The level of seriousness made Ophelia, who was silent in the sea of books, feel emotional when she saw it. The principal seems to really treat the library as his home. He just spent the night in the library. I can't understand. Bori leaned against the fence of the small garden. Face full of confusion and shock. Can anyone really read those boring magic books all night? It's just devilish. Borui and his compatriots thought about it silently. Is he really a Muggle? Doesn't it mean that Muggles are all fragile? Do you even need to sleep every night to maintain full energy? Why did he? Bori. Vera wrinkled her face. Displeased. You've been chanting for 10 whole minutes. Can't you just be quiet? Bori feels wronged. I'm curious. This is incredible. He subconsciously looked at Chris. Want Chris to say something? It's a pity that Chris seems to be immersed in his own world. He is as quiet as ever. Undeniable. He is indeed a little frustrated inside. Last night when he went to the library to look through information related to Alara. Obviously he was so ambitious at the beginning. But those books were so boring that I slowly lay on the desk. When Chris wakes up again, I found that a large number of students were sleeping next to me. He was slightly comforted. You can turn your head again. The headmaster, who is said to be a Muggle, is still in high spirits. Even with nothing in mind. I didn't remember that there was a group of students in this library who stayed up all night to look up information. Chris, who is very competitive, is frustrated. He feels that he is not serious enough. Lost. Vera yelled several times, but Chris didn't come back to his senses. She guessed that Chris must have been hit last night. Chris is so great. So serious. Hateful. Screech must have used some conspiracy. Verla firmly believes. I'm also getting more and more annoyed with Borua's thoughts. Siashichin appeared in the small garden on time. Compared to the first day, the students were much more lively on the second day. Get together in 2s and 3s. Few act independently. The prototype of a small group has been formed. What makes Siashichin happy is that maybe it was because the first day was so embarrassing that everyone learned a lesson. Today's morning exercise. They all wear clothes that are easy to stretch. Even if you love beauty like Verla. Also put on pink denim clothes. Very good. My children. You are all smart. Siazikin's clear voice echoed in the small garden. Borui subconsciously replied, Hello, magic principal. Siashichin blinked slowly. Don't call me honey like that. I'm just an ordinary Muggle gentleman. Please call me teacher. Just the principal. Borui was glad that his devilish voice was stuck in his throat. I had an idea and switched to magic. If you are misunderstood, just misunderstand. He didn't want to be punished by Screech again for erasing the blackboard. But obviously, Screech has enough ways to get them to clean the blackboard for him. Today I will take you to practice Tai Chi. I hope all the smart kids can remember it clearly. Help each other. After all, excellent memory is the first step into magic. Siashichin said casually. Went to the front of the small garden. Face everyone. Same moment. The magic 3D teaching mirror he bought at the teaching assistant mall was casually standing next to him. The shape of his back is reflected in the 3D teaching mirror. Like two identical Screeches. Including the little hair rope that was replaced by a ruby rabbit. Borui no longer has the inclination to appreciate novel magic teaching aids. He is opportunistic. Trying to tell how the devil principal is feeling from the little hair rope of the principal. Does it mean that today's Screech will be as soft as a rabbit? Oh. No. Siashichin squatted lightly. I saw the students behind me standing there like idiots. Good-natured asked, are they all under petrification magic? Students. At once. It's just terrifying. No one cares whether you like it or not. For the first time, they all imitated the principal's movements crookedly. It's just that I can't squat very well. As well as. Damn it. Chris cursed under his breath. He has always been proud. Naturally, the movements will be as standard as possible. But this ordinary action. His legs were trembling even after he squatted for less than half a minute. For one's own face. He gritted his teeth. Even if your whole body starts to tremble, you have to hold on. How long will Screech have to squat? Why does the delicate magician do such hard work? Just when Chris thought he couldn't hold it anymore. Siashichin sighed softly. The action has begun. But this sigh made Chris' inner anger burn brightly. Sigh? Pity? No. Chris, is never someone else's pity. The delicate aristocratic magician gritted his teeth. He stared at Xie Shichen without turning his eyes. He won't miss a single move. Fortunately, Xie Shichen is always so considerate. After seeing the students' limits, I started teaching them to practice Tai Chi step by step. Tai Chi emphasizes using softness to overcome hardness. Although it does not require strong force. But it's definitely not soft. Seeing that half of the time has passed, the little students seem to have just learned the shape. No strength at all. Xie Shichen silently stopped his movements. Said with a smile. Great. Children are very smart. I learned half of the moves so quickly. All the students breathed a sigh of relief. It's over. It seems that practicing Tai Chi is not without its benefits. At least today's morning practice will be over soon. Smart kids are always so efficient. Allow plenty of time to consolidate practice. The teacher is really pleased. Xie Shichen looked at the students in the field with a smile. Slowly, he took out his teaching stick and tapped it on the palm of his hand. So, everyone, let's start practicing freely. I hope that by the end of today's morning practice, everyone can perform skillful movements with their eyes closed. Students? Vila swallowed. Asked Xie Shichen in a coquettish tone. Ask the principal. Proficient means. To be honest, there are not many people on this continent who can make Vila treat others politely. The only Muggle who can make Verla treat others politely is the headmaster. Borui couldn't even think about it. The Empire's most pampered Rose learns to respect Muggles in just one day. But this incredible scene just happened. But in fact, Vila just doesn't want to be punished for erasing the blackboard again. Xie Shichen is very pleased. Also willing to donate generously. My dear child. Of course, let the magic mirror and teaching stick judge whether you are proficient or not. After all, there is only one principle. You can't completely correct everyone's actions, right? Yeah. Students who have already experienced the morning jogging lessons on the first day are not very convinced. They gradually dispersed according to Xie Zichen's words. Then stand still. Make the first tentative move. Ouch. Xie Shichen looked towards the source of the sound. He was one of the more silent students yesterday. Compared to the few thorns in the class who made trouble on the first day. They are quiet and obedient. Student profile based on app. This seems to be a pair of twin elves. A male elf with no magical talent. Herbert? Herbert rubbed his long white thighs with tears in his eyes. Puzzled. Why did you hit me? He is so active. How come the teaching stick floating around was hit right away? It hurts QAQ. Xie Shichen came back from thinking. The smile is very tolerant. Silly boy. Of course it's because your movements are not standard. It's my fault. I forgot to mention it. The teaching mirror not only shows the instructor's figure without any blind spots. It is also possible to observe the mistakes of those being taught and make corrections without any blind spots. The words just fell. A line of beautiful floating characters appeared in front of Herbert. And a villain just like him. Simulated a very standard horse stance action. The floating font also set up a small teaching stick. Keep pointing at the little man on display. Instruct students to follow suit. Very magical. Herbert, a country bumpkin who lives in the forest, has never seen such novel magic items. But it didn't arouse the slightest curiosity in him. Because it's not standard. We'll be beaten. This is too much. Herbert's twin sister Isabella stood up. An angry tone. We have never seen teachers in other magic schools who would beat students. Except when I take martial arts lessons from my brother who has magical martial arts talent. But that was also students fighting each other. The teacher didn't even do anything. As for why you didn't refute yesterday's morning exercise? Ha! Just how fierce Screech looked yesterday. Isabella doesn't dare to be rude. But although Isabella often quarreled with her brothers. But after all, he is the closest relative. Herbert was beaten. She also wants to help out. Xie Shichen also nodded. You're right. We Screech never punish, beat or scold students corporally. I will never do anything to students outside of combat classes. Isabella looked happy. That. Xiaxichan helplessly spread his hands. This is the teaching correction of the teaching mirror and teaching stick, isn't it? My dear. Do you want to see clearly? Your brother doesn't have any bruises at all. We Screech will not bear this responsibility. Isabella subconsciously looked at Herbert. Just underneath the shorts Herbert was wearing. There is no blue or red on the white and tender thighs. You must know that they are elves who have tender skin and tender flesh. If you play around a lot, you might get a big bruise. Looks scary. But now. Isabella frowned. Look at Herbert. Look at the teaching stick again. Finally had to admit. This is just an action correction. He's her dear and squeamish brother. The reaction is too big. Isabella is a kind elf. After she realized that she had misunderstood the principal. I apologized to the principal very guiltily. Xiaxichan waved his hand. Don't care. In fact, morning exercise is also equivalent to practical courses. There will be some stumbling. Pain is normal. Just like yesterday's morning run. But we at Screech will ensure everyone's safety. Don't worry about the kids. Speaking of which. He glanced around his students with a faint smile. Shrugging, pretending to be helpless. No matter what. Done wrong. There must be punishment and correction. No? Yes. Isabella nodded solemnly. You are right, Principal. I will strengthen my observation ability. What a gullible kid. Xiaxichan thought. It seems that in the future we will have to open a series of courses ranging from introductory PUA prevention to thick black learning. Otherwise, the children you have managed to teach will be easily deceived by others. He will feel distressed. Certainly. If you are deceived by yourself, it is not called cheating. How can one of our own be considered a liar? It's obviously a reasonable killing. Xiaxichan found a clean stone with peace of mind. Sit down and review today's lesson plan. In the remaining free time, let them get familiar with this half of the Tai Chi postures. There are 2 students in the field. They also gradually issued their first shout. Damn. What the devil is Screech's teaching stick? Borui grinned and touched his thigh. I rolled up my trouser legs and found that there were no injuries at all. Even internal inspection could not find any internal injuries. But it happens. The pain was like hitting a bone. Endless. Even for a junior swordsman like him. I was also scared to breathe due to this. Herbert saw that everyone was lucky enough to enjoy the same treatment as himself. I feel like it doesn't hurt anymore after being beaten. He was laughing and quarreling with his sister. Isabella. How come you have become like your delicate brother? Isabella rubbed her thighs with tears in her eyes. While following the teaching mirror, do the movements. While gnashing his teeth, he made a trembling sound. Get out. I'm better than you. Woo woo. Doesn't it count as punishment if no damage is dealt? But it's really good. It hurts QAQ. Screech still has some humanity left in him. He finished his morning practice 30 minutes early. He said that in the future, this half hour will be used for students to have breakfast. As for whether there is enough time, this is not Xiaxichan's business. He even temporarily installed dozens of bathroom stalls in the canteen. We're trying to save as much time as possible for these clean-loving students, aren't we? But even so, I'm still nervous half the time. It's not that I didn't think about being late. More or less, everyone has their own little ideas when coming to Scridge. As long as the principal doesn't go too far. Basically everyone tolerates it as long as they can. And from meeting Screech in the Great Hall to now, everything he does is incomprehensible. The unknown always makes people wary. Even though she is pampered like Verla. What I am thinking about now is how to save time. Instead of being the standout and being used as a role model by Screech. Drinking the meat porridge cooked by the chef. Vila didn't even bother with etiquette. After finishing my porridge, I got up and went to the bathroom. She would never tolerate going to class smelling like sweat. That first day was exceptional. Borui doesn't care. Compared to aristocrats. He's more like a slutty mercenary. More informality than etiquette. seeing Vila disappear like a gust of wind. Borui laughed so hard that he was out of breath. Look at our principal Screech. What did they force our Miss Verla to do? Oh my gosh. If I had a magic shadow stone in my hand right now. I must record it. Let my old man take a good look at it when we get back. Chris put down the plain white porcelain spoon with restraint. Soft tone. First. You can't afford it. Secondly. You have no magic talent. Can't inspire. At last. Don't you dare. Because you can't beat Vieira. Borui, I just said it casually. Damn. Why do most of today's alchemical items require magic to activate? It can't be like what happened in the hands of Principal Screech. Can Muggles manipulate it too? Oh yes. Borui thought of this. Suddenly he looked weird. Chris. You say. Principal Screech. Really a Muggle? No. Tell me exactly. Does he really not know magic? Borui asked slowly. A detailed list of Screech's strange behaviors. Perhaps we have all been deceived. Do you still remember what happened in the auditorium on the first day? Borui narrowed his eyes slightly. The memory has not faded at all. With the obstruction of the association's senior magician. He was only less than 5 minutes late. But the magician didn't notice anything strange. After that, during class time. He didn't seem to have any intention of covering it up at all. Can interrupt your spell casting at a speed that is imperceptible to the naked eye. It can also be accurately controlled to prevent you from getting hurt. He could stay up all night in the library. I also know that you admire Olila. Precisely use Olila's deeds to attract us. Even. Today I also used a multifunctional magic teaching mirror that is said to do not require magic to activate. I don't know if he can do magic. But I'm sure. He is definitely an advanced swordsman. He exposed too many flaws. Borui thought of this. His face became serious. He also frequently changes his hair accessories. Red Rabbit. Red, is he trying to hint to us that he is angry? But. They will come to Screech. Just for Screech's magic books. Even worried about the legendary mage behind Screech. Not even trying to steal. I just want to write it down. I didn't even think that Screech had so many magical teaching aids. I'm not sure he's a magician. But. Chris gracefully took out his handkerchief and wiped his mouth. Still calm. What's the reason? Drive all the students away. There are only 20 people left who don't seem to have much talent. Students with evil intentions. There is also the risk of disbanding the college. Why? The price is too high, isn't it? Borui choked. Of course he knows. Since Screech has great strength and magical items. There are even various magic scrolls that are dismissed in the library. Magic books. There is no need to reach this stage of despair. It's almost enough to carry it forward. So it doesn't make sense. Principal Screech is an enigma. Unfathomable. Last Borui. I think you are overthinking one thing. Chris folded his dirty hands and put them away. Very helpless to mention something. Maybe hair accessories. What about Principal Screech's few childlike innocence? Impossible. Borui screamed from the bottom of his heart. Just Screech, the principal who smiles on the outside and turns around to make people lose their pants. How could you do something meaningless? To prove that your conclusion is correct. Before class. Borat raised his hand specifically. I asked the principal this question that had nothing to do with the curriculum. Their principal is just a morning exercise time. Changed another hair accessory. This time it's a wooden cookie style. Pricked on that golden little knot. Looks extraordinarily gentle. Huh. What's the meaning of hair accessories? Xia Shichin was a little confused. But this does not prevent him from solving problems for students in a pleasant manner. No. I personally think. It is a failure to reveal your emotions and hobbies through external decoration. Because it is very likely that you will be seen through. Cause failure of what you want to do. Look at this villain's speech. Chris actually said that the other party has a childlike innocence. Laughing like crazy. Borui whispered in his heart. Xia Shichen smiled slightly. Rhetorical question. Student Borui, don't you think the cookie on the teacher's head is very childlike? Borui was absent-minded, of course. This is literally the best idea I've ever heard, Childlike? Xia Shichen touches the teaching stick. You can feel the cool touch of the teaching stick through your white gloves. There was a trace of sadness between his brows. Yes. Teaching stick is an essential part of teaching. But this makes me seem a little unhuman. And the rabbit headband. Cookie headband. Makes me look amiable. Full of childishness. To sum it up. A more conducive teaching environment for me. No. Strong people never complain about the environment. Just change the environment. As long as it is beneficial to his teaching plan. What's the point of sacrificing your own image? Borui couldn't take a breath and couldn't take it down. Looking at Xia Shichen with an unbelievable look. I don't seem to understand how Xia Shichen has the nerve to say such nonsense that even no one would believe. Amiable? His legs are shaking when he sees the other party laughing now. I feel like I'm about to be beaten. That. Why do you need to change hair accessories frequently? Principal Screech also loves beauty, right? Right? Verla fluttered her eyelashes. I seem to have found something in common with Screech. Very happy. Asked the principal with interest. Oh. That's not true. Xia Shichen thought of his little white rabbit-like students. Decide to confess part. The ruby bunny is so dazzling. The color of the cookies is relatively plain. Won't distract everyone's attention. All the students. Depend on. Do you want to be so utilitarian? Barry didn't even know that he was hoping that Screech would lie to them at this moment. Or be honest with them. Sitting on the stool is like being possessed by the undead. It was Xia Shichen who tapped the teaching stick on the desk. That's how we attracted everyone's energy. Start to continue class. Chris lowered his eyes as he listened and opened the spiritual power textbook. Listening to Principal Screech's humorous tone. From a small story gradually expanded to today's teaching content. Finally picked up the pen. I took notes carefully. Should I say it or not? Life at Screech Academy was not as difficult as he imagined. At least. This powerful principal who hides his strength. The teaching level is really great. Chris blinked slowly. In the lower right corner of the textbook. Skillfully drew a cookie. Then he pursed his lips and smiled softly. Is it really just an amiable and childlike expression? A morning of classes passed quickly. Xia Shichen rolled up his teaching stick. Called get out of class to end. Today, the student responsible for classroom hygiene will start from the morning exercise with the most substandard movements. Select from the students who made the most mistakes. Currently there are. Herbert. Isabella. Principal Xia reminded me very kindly. There are more people. You can try to discuss. Distribute your tasks. Talk too much. Actually, there are only 5. Not much to say. Already a quarter of the class. Not too little indeed. Everyone who was not selected at this moment is very happy. I am very knowledgeable during the day. Also very serious. The limbs are also well coordinated. There was no way for Screech to catch them. Even Her Royal Highness Ophelia, who has a very gentle personality. I couldn't help but chuckle. When passing by classmates who need cleaning. Secretly clenching fists to cheer them on. Come on, honey. My heart is with you. Group of 5. Thank you. But it doesn't have to be. What a harmonious relationship between classmates. Xia Shichen, who just saw the action, sighed in his heart. It seems that my plan to share the joys and sorrows is initially bearing fruit. But Xia Shichen thought of those itchy magic teaching aids. I feel that my current progress is still a bit slow. Whether it's earning gold coins or accumulating principal points. Very few. At this speed. He cannot guarantee that he will achieve the staged goals he has set. Xia Shichen looked through the pitifully few app tasks. Achieving tasks is a long-term process. Construction tasks cost money. The fame of the main mission also requires accumulation. Not so suitable for making quick money. Then only the daily tasks of the principal can earn principal points. Such as teaching students, taking students for morning exercises, etc. You can get about 50 principal points every day. Too little. Right. Xiaoxichan knocks on app. Isn't it upgraded? Why is there no response? This shit doesn't even have a newbie gift package. I don't know how to have the nerve to say that I am from an app. App bubbles tenaciously. App upgraded successfully. Update now? Xiaoxichan almost laughed in anger. How? He didn't mention it. If the app is broken, then you just keep silently upgrading it? What kind of app is this that doesn't care about other people's lives? Renew. Xiaoxican's tone is so gentle that it can make people drown. I hope my dear schoolmaster won't tell me. It will take another day to update. 1%. 5%. 100%. Update successful. Xiaoxue, who has a strong desire to survive, successfully upgraded in less than 5 seconds. I am the principal app has been updated. Modifications in version 2.0. 1. Advance credit. Loans without IOUs and many other bugs. 2. New skill, magic immunity. All magic that students learn. They are all completely immune to the principal. Let students learn more magic. 3. Mall changes, unlocked more practical magic teaching aids and teaching aids. Added new talent market section. You can use the principal value to recruit teachers. 4. New activity, Teacher's Day gift, teacher. Thank you for your hard work. On the day of update. When purchasing teaching aids in the mall, you can enjoy 20% off. Surprised or not? Are you excited? Come and make impulse purchases. Xiaoxichan was coveted for the red envelope. Oh. You also know that you are spending impulsively. Say so. But when the offer comes, no one can bear it. Even if I know there are pitfalls in Double 11 every year. Aren't they all buying like crazy? The temptation of discounts is irresistible. Xiaoxichan doesn't intend to restrain himself either. He first carefully understood the updated app. Then sigh. The intensity is not coincidental enough. The principal in me is not worth much anymore. App was tempted. Take the bait immediately. It doesn't matter. Principals can choose to take out campus loans. Our interest rates are very low. Xiaoxichan smiled slightly. Okay. Then I won't be polite. The app realized something was wrong. I saw Xiaoxichan put all kinds of magic teaching aids, and an expensive magic teacher that he liked into the shopping cart without changing his expression. App nervously shouted, no, 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 no. Absolutely not. The magic teacher alone will add 10,000 points to the principal's points. That's a magician. 10,000 points. Xiaoxichan just dares to lend money. It can't be taken out either. Xiaoxican's face collapsed when he heard this. Oh. Then why did you put him out there? App guilty conscience, incentive. Inspire you? Seeing Xiaoxichan laughing. The eyes are getting more and more dangerous. The app is very current and authentic. Us. After our phase tasks are completed, there will be teacher recruitment contracts. Although the price is not as good as this. But he is also the best instructor currently available. Not as good as. Why don't we wait a little longer? Xiaoxichan remained silent. App anxious. You really can't borrow so much. I also need energy to summon people here. At most 1,000 principal points. Oh well. After the hope phase is over. Can you keep your promise? Xiaoxichan finally relaxed. I borrowed 1,000 principals worth. Purchase the teaching aids and magic teaching aids that you like. Xiaoxichan sighed as he stuffed the shopping cart. The principal value at our disposal is still too little. App nodded with concern. No. I'm going to open the sunroof. Wrong. Wrong. App's rusty brain is spinning again. Found something suspicious. You borrowed so much at one time. Is it still affordable? Although its interest rate is low. But it's not a bank either. If I really borrowed 10,000. The interest alone is enough to make Xie Shichen deeply in debt. Xie Shichen was non-committal. No matter how bad it is, it's still not as valuable as the principal. How? Why don't you lend it to me if you can't pay it back? What should I do if the task cannot be completed? We are a community of interests. App. Damn it. Xie Shichen, you are acting like a scumbag again. The app saw that the energy he had secretly saved was borrowed by Xie Shichen again and was spent without a drop left. Left painful tears. Renew. It needs to be updated. It will block the bugs hard. Students are very adaptable. Maybe this is also Xie Zaiken's luck. Students who have entered a magic academy have more energy than ordinary students. And ordinary students who have never entered have no room for comparison. All I know is that you can't be kicked out for the monthly exam. They all work hard too. In addition, the canteen has been following the recipes given by Xie Shichen these days. All the students were fed were monster meat and polished rice noodles. Nature raises students to be fat and white. It's afternoon class time. When Xie Shichen stepped into the classroom with regular steps as usual, I found that my students were much more lively. Very pleased. It seems everyone had a good lunch today. Feeling more energetic than in the morning. These words. Students still don't know how to pick up. If there hadn't been that torturous Tai Chi in the morning. They must be very energetic too. Final. Ophelia smiled dryly. Yes, teacher. Screech's canteen is delicious. This is not a lie. The previous magic sheep soup was handled very well. No smell at all. Only a mouthful of tender mutton is left. An extremely fresh soup. Even the royal family. You also need luck to get such a bite. The chef's performance is not that stable. Xie Shichen smiled. Screech's pleasure. It's a pun, right? After chatting about family matters and caring about the children. Xie Shichen opened the bookmark. Turn the textbook to the marked page. Teaching stick flies flexibly. The afternoon classes started. Although I have only taken one course. But Xie Shichen's humorous teaching made them not feel bored. Even enjoy it. After every class. They even have seeds. The feeling of knowledge sinking into my brain. When I went to read the textbook again. They can understand boring words at a glance. There is a vague sense of accomplishment. As usual, Xie Shichen left 40 minutes for the children to sort out their notes. Because the phased planning has been completed. He is quite free during this self-study time. I simply told the students some study tips. Taking notes is second. The most important thing is to read the textbook content after class. When you find that you know the textbook well enough. The inner sense of accomplishment will make you smarter and smarter. Perhaps. Students who have a habit of recording can also write a diary. My daily adventures in Screech. Feeling. Be it good or bad. After recording. Always wonderful. Right. Everyone read a lot of books in the library last night. There should be quite a bit of progress, right? Can provide each other with help and ideas. You can also ask me. I'm happy to answer your questions. The words just fell. Chris raised his head with bright eyes. Real? Nature. Xie Zaiken's smile deepened. More than classroom teaching. Other doubts. You can find a teacher. He is confident. At present, I can still answer these children's questions. Even if you can't. His app can also find him a standard answer. He needs enough trust from the students. To promote their own teaching plans. Borui pouted. Whisper. I'm not asking. Who knows if Screech will get angry because he can't answer. I don't want to wipe that dusty blackboard anymore. I haven't finished muttering yet. Ophelia, the long-braided girl diagonally in front of her, happily walked up to the desk while holding her textbook. Borui was stunned. Etc. Profound. Your Highness Ophelia? He's busy these days. I didn't realize that there was Her Royal Highness Ophelia among this group of classmates. Borui subconsciously turned to look at Vila. Vila looked at him innocently. Shrug. I don't know whether to mean that I don't know or that I don't care. Borui covered his face, almost murmuring. It's over. I don't even think about going home this year. Whether it is knowing but not reporting or reporting knowing. The least he says is that he will shed his skin QAQ. Different from Bori Manchin, who is very complicated. Chris didn't think there was anything wrong with Ophelia being here at all. He packed up his data. He also strode onto the podium and lined up. Royal affairs. What does Chris have to do with him? Chris, who was intent on exploring how Alara won, looked calm. Just waiting for Screech to explain it to him. Have to say. Screech is indeed very knowledgeable. Chris stood aside. Although I didn't ask. But listening to Xia Shichen's detailed explanation of the steps and various small knowledge points derived from Ophelia. They all have a feeling of enlightenment. Very detailed. Explain in simple terms. Explain a small knowledge point bit by bit. It won't take too much time. Taking classes with Screech is like two different styles. Ophelia listened and recorded. Thinking about the difficulties. Ask little by little. When everything is fully understood. She pursed her lips and chuckled. The bright blue eyes looked at Xia Shichen with gratitude. Thank you, teacher. She felt like she had found her direction. The girl is only 14 or 15 years old. Her young face is filled with loneliness and sadness. Perhaps her fate over the past 10 years has been very bumpy. But she didn't give in. Instead, I worked hard to find my own way forward. Xia Shichen gently rubbed Ophelia's head. When you see the other person, he bows his head slightly very carefully. When you can move more comfortably. There was a smile in his eyes. There are many people whose magic affinity is low enough to summon magical elements. But Ophelia. There's a type of people. They are obviously very talented in magic. But its affinity to all elements is very low. And very low and evenly. Is almost the same value. You know. Why? Ophelia's pupils tightened. Voice trembled slightly. 4. Why? As the princess of the empire, Her Royal Highness. The only heir to the current royal family. If you haven't tried various methods. Neither can improve her overly average affinity. How could her father give up on her? Let her go to another country to get married? Even if there is only one subject with high affinity. They can all pour alchemical potions. Let yourself be able to drink medicine and become a high-level magician in the future. But her affinity is too average. No matter how to remedy it. I can't find an element that can be improved. These elements restrict each other. No one wants to get close to her. Ophelia worked hard for more than 10 years. Still found nothing. Now. Principal Screech told her. There are other mysteries and reasons. How could she not be excited? Ophelia's fingers trembled. Keep squeezing the notes in your hand. The eagerness and excitement in his eyes almost overflowed. Fine. She still remembers the etiquette of being a noble. She didn't do anything to be ashamed of out of excitement. But I still can't hide my eagerness. If not for thinking about Xia Shichen, he would still be his teacher. Headmaster. Maybe her hand is about to be squeezed tightly. Xia Shichen smiled softly. Good boy. You have to remember. There are no untalented students. Only students who don't know how to take advantage of their talents. And teachers who don't know how to teach. If you want to know. Just go to the library and check it out. There is a book called Al Risley's Magical Notes. Similar questions are recorded in it. I told you personally. You never saw it with your own eyes. Trustworthy, something you saw with your own eyes. Never experienced it yourself. Believable. No. Ophelia's anxious mood was slowly soothed by a gentle breeze. She pursed her lips. Look at Xia Shichen. Nod solemnly. I know, teacher. I went back to watch it. Thanks for your guidance. Now. No matter what the result is. Ophelia looked at Xia Shichen. As if given a new life. If I had experienced more. Get older. Ophelia may be doubtful. You might also take this as a consolation. But now she. Still have hope. Still trusting this legendary Muggle. The principal who is actually unfathomable. She shook her scorpion braid. jumping off the platform in a flash. Even the back is full of excitement. Chris looked at Ophelia's back. I didn't come back to my senses for a long time. I don't know what I'm thinking about. Xia Shichen clasped the table with his knuckles. To bring the little one back to his senses, my dear Chris. Is there no doubt about this? Xia Shichen smiled and raised his eyebrows. If not, please do not block other students' space to ask questions. Yes. Chris was a little embarrassed. Quickly take out your textbook. Pointed out some things that were not very clear. Maybe it's because Chris himself is a junior magician. Most of the questions he raised were from actual combat perspective. Certainly. This kind of actual combat also seems relatively immature. After all, his experience is limited. He is a pampered magician. Although Xia Shichen entered the magic world for the first time. But his vast amount of knowledge in the original world is extremely rich. One-stop communication. Although the magic systems and knowledge points of the two worlds are different. But there are many similarities. Coupled with the assistance of the principal's app and his king-like lesson preparation method. Chris' question is not difficult to answer. Xia Shichen thought carefully about it. Ask Chris in a guiding way, what do you think? When you reach the realm of the legendary mage, can primary magic be cast instantly? Chris shook his head without thinking, no. Xia Shichen raised his eyebrows, oh? Why? Chris calmly explained, I understand what you mean. But the principle. It's not that the level is higher. The more skilled you are at controlling low-level magic. Magic spells require familiarity. Magic also requires practice. When I become an intermediate magician, I will never practice elementary magic again. That's just a waste of my time. This may sound a bit difficult to understand. But if you change the concept, you will understand the reason. Just like math. I learned addition and subtraction when I was in elementary school. When you learn multiplication and division. Multiplication and division can solve the tedious problems of addition and subtraction. More advanced and useful. When you can perform addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. People will tend to use more convenient methods of multiplication and division. Abandon addition and subtraction. But this does not mean a person who is skilled in multiplication and division can be very skilled in addition and subtraction. These are two different ways. So, even a legendary mage, if his proficiency is not enough for low-level magic, the casting speed may be faster than that of low-level magicians. But it's absolutely impossible to cast it instantly. There may even be situations where you forget the spell and cannot pronounce it. Xia Shichen quirked his eyebrows. Sighing softly, Leonard must have thought so too. Chris was stunned. I quickly realized what Xia Shichen meant. Subconsciously I opened my eyes wide. Leonard is the same. Also a noble. They will pursue advanced magic more. Forbidden curse. Research and attainments in magic. Naturally, they also pay attention to a solid foundation. But this does not mean that they will pay attention to the low-tech magic in the middle and low levels. And before Alara was promoted to a legendary mage, has always been unknown. Some say she is a noble. Some people say she is a commoner. But she did work as a mercenary for a long time. Between life and death. Naturally, whatever magic is easy to use it. She may not be as good as Leonard in advanced magic. But her proficiency in low to medium level magic that doesn't consume much magic energy is mantra time. Far better than Leonard. Maybe in normal times. These are nothing. But when two people are equally powerful, it's time to work out the details. But this is not the answer Chris wants. He pursed his lips. The voice was a little forced. Could it be that? Pursue more excellence. Esoteric magic. Is it really wrong? But those low-level magics. Does it really work? Of course. Every magician has his own magical path. None of us can say decisively. This road is wrong. No. Xia Shichen said. The conversation changed. Chris. You need to know. A close battle victory. There are many determining factors. It's even possible. Missing a factor will lead to a reversal of victory or defeat. Xia Shichen said, it may be environmental factors. Maybe it's proficiency. Maybe it's past experience. It might even be a mistake. One of them is not feeling well. Every time I find an angle, it means you are far away from understanding that level of battle. One step further. So, don't jump to conclusions too quickly. Trust the data. But you must believe in your own heart. Chris seems to understand but not understand. This is still too profound for a 15-year-old child. But Chris couldn't help but ask one more question. What if you? What do you think is the right path? He couldn't help but raise his expectations, as if waiting for guidance from a respected elder. There was a tension in it that Chris himself didn't realize. Xia Shichen deliberately pondered for a few seconds. Cunningly said, of course, it's the path I took you to take. Chris? Xia Shichen, however, lied, after this monthly exam. Let me give you a taste. How powerful are real magicians? Chris subconsciously asked, actually, you are a magician. Is it right? Xia Shichen raised his eyebrows. My dear Mr. Chris. Is your excellent brain used to swimming in the ocean of knowledge? Already forgotten? Is it the fact that I'm a Muggle? Chris. Dear Mr. Chris, he is grinding his back teeth. I don't have the same experience as this principal who occasionally talks strangely. He takes a deep breath. After politely bidding farewell to Xia Shichen, I took my homework and planned to go down. He turned around and took 2 steps. He turned around again hesitantly, looking at Xia Shichen hesitantly. Xia Shichen, what's wrong, sir? Chris held his breath. You just let us enter the library? Feel free to borrow these magical books. Aren't you afraid that the books inside will be stolen? Oh. Are you worried about losing your books? Xia Shichen was thoughtful. Don't worry. If you lose it, you can just pay back a certain amount of contribution points. Rest assured. It's a price you can all afford. Am not. Chris hesitated to speak. Finally gritted his teeth and turned around. Angrily walked off the stage. Damn. Why is Screech so innocent? The innocent Principal Screech is also being harassed by the app. Although these books are sold cheaply here, but it is still very valuable to the mainland. Aren't you afraid of students reselling? App puzzled. How can Xia Shichen be so reassured? Obviously when we signed the contract. It is sure that the hosted is bound to. This is not a good thing. What's the rush? Aren't books just for reading? Say it again. The contribution point system will be implemented immediately. Xia Shichen said. Compare one's heart to one's heart. Would you be willing to exchange principal points for gold coins? App, unwilling. Xia Shichen said meaningfully, I don't hang students with magic books. How could they be like cows? Can you save me some contribution points? He, Xia Shichen, is not Feng Huai, the shabby Buddhist teacher who holds a thermos cup every day. His students just have to deal with yourself. Build a bright future for yourself. For a moment, I didn't even know how to sympathize with the students who currently knew nothing. Or should I sympathize with myself who knows the truth? Teacher Wang is really a scammer. Screech is really a scammer. Bori lay on the big table with eyes dim. I get a headache just looking at the densely packed earthworm-like characters. I have read so many recommended books. Almost none of them are intelligible. That's you, idiot. Blame Screech. Verla curled her lips. From time to time, he looks at Chris who is not far away. The soft voice is full of complaints. Chris already looked at 2 points. He didn't even have dinner. What kind of book is so beautiful? Borui yawned. It feels like I'm about to fall asleep. Isn't Chris always like this? The tasks given to him at home are quite heavy. Although they were all thrown here by the family to explore the truth. But among them, only Chris is a highly talented heir to the family. Most of them are not core members of the family. Like Ophelia. Although you are the heir to the empire. But he is an heir who is about to be abandoned. Only Chris. Because Chris' father is the head of the family. He is a serious mage who does not care about family affection. Need to lead by example. So he sent his only son over. The tasks he assigned to Chris were also very demanding. Because magic schools are all closed teaching. He then asked Chris to go home in a year. Recite at least 10 advanced magic formations. Forbidden curse. To know. Reading magic books across classes is very harmful to their mental strength. Borui smacked his lips. Shaking his head, Chris is so pitiful. Shut up. Verla glared at Borui fiercely. Angrily, he lowered his head and started reading the books. Since something happened to Chris, she will help Chris more. We can't let someone as proud as Chris fail to complete his homework. And the topic they were talking about, Chris. Not as active as expected to complete the task. Maybe you have crossed the knot of your heart. Or maybe he felt pity for the simple Holy Father principle. Chris struggled all the way. Decide to study first. Then confess your purpose to the principal. He doesn't want to be a thief. Suffering from regret and vigilance day and night. Chris is taking notes carefully. At the same time, I was thinking about Xieshichen's words. I found the argument for my homework the next day. He wanted to. He guessed Screech's original intention of giving them homework. Chris wrote a line of titles carefully. Look at that line of cursive characters. Lost in thought. It seems. You guessed it too. Is it right? A very gentle female voice slowly sounded. Full of smiles. He's really kind. I think about it sometimes. Am I having a dream that I don't want to wake up from? Chris raised his head subconsciously. At first glance I saw a huge round spectacles. Looking at him with a smile. It's Ophelia. Chris said calmly, a kind person. The one who is always bullied. Speaking of which. Chris actually gritted his teeth a little. Ophelia was convinced, yes. But no one can resist kindness. Get along with them. It's like soaking in a warm hot spring. If it weren't for my dizziness. Don't even want to get up. As a former heir to the royal family. Ophelia is never as innocent as she appears. She also knows a lot of things. I also know everyone's purpose. It's just that she didn't feel the need to make it clear at first. Now I don't know how to tell the difference. Principal Screech is a generous person. Kind. Charming. Knowledgeable elder. He always thinks the students are too kind. Thinking too much about them. Screech sets up homework duplication checking system. In fact, I didn't mean to make things difficult for them. Just want to inspire them. Think about problems from multiple angles. To explore victory. It's just that they've been going astray. I always feel like this is making things difficult for them. Screech was not shy about sharing his knowledge with them. Even important books are placed carelessly where they can see them with the naked eye. Not expecting them to understand. Just giving them more confidence. Tell them. The college has a solid foundation. The academy can help them fulfill their dreams. Even the morning exercise is full of bad taste. He is such a great and powerful teacher. If someone had told me before. It only takes less than 3 days. I will completely change and be convinced of a person. I won't believe it. Ophelia lamented. But now. If anyone says. Screech is not a good man. I will definitely use all my power. Get him out. It wasn't just Screech who showed her the way. But within these short 3 days. Screech with every move he makes. Deepened Ophelia's understanding. And trust. This is a trustworthy teacher. I don't regret. Come to Screech Academy of Magic. Met Principal Screech. Ophelia concluded. Chris silence. Didn't interrupt. Just minding my own business with my head down reading a book. Ophelia doesn't care either. With a smile on his face, he hugged the magic note he found and found a seat to sit down quietly. Open ALS Magic Notes. Read it with relish. But Chris didn't read the book for a long time. He thought about the experiences of the past few days. I also think about every word Screech said. Thinking. Perhaps. He should be like Screech said. Write a diary. Record every life. At least for now. Screech never goes wrong. Congratulations to the principal for triggering the achievement mission. Chris Hartnott, 10%. Completion reward principal value, 1000. Congratulations to the principal for triggering the achievement mission, Ophelia's thoughts, 20. Completion reward principal value, 1000. Congratulations to the principal for gaining the trust of students Chris and Ophelia. Chris' current trust level in the principal, 80, the student thinks. The mysterious principal is more reliable than his father. Ophelia's current trust level in the principal, 80, the student thinks. The principal is a wise elder. The current total trust value is 160. According to operation. All have been converted into principal's force value. Current principal's force value, 230, equivalent to a third-level Warcraft. There are still 270 left before the next level. Please keep up the good work. A series of jingling announcements attracted Xiaozikin's attention. He is breeding monsters in the zoo. The reagents are ready. Unexpectedly, the students gave him a big surprise. The reporting app is also a surprise. Even confused. What did you do? The achievement mission is very difficult to trigger. Theoretically, achievement tasks will only light up when students achieve success. So the app never thought that Xiaozikin would be able to light up achievement tasks in a short period of time. Unexpectedly, Xiaozikin actually dug out the hidden achievements. Xiaozikin is not very clear either. He felt that he was just fulfilling the basic duties of a teacher. Think for a moment. Xiaozikin quickly thought of the reason. They are so simple and kind that I don't know if I should start anti-PUA and basic thick black learning courses earlier. Xiaozikin touched his little remaining conscience. It's better to postpone it for a while. There are still many places where children need to lay the foundation. At least let him gather enough to be worthy of the principal. Give the lovely students another baptism of blood. Presumably, his lovely students will love this class. Right. Xiaozikin looked at his personal panel. Thoughtfully. Magical immunity means I can't add points to mana. Is it right? This new trust value can be converted into your own personal points. And in this series of values, it is true that only the force value and magic value are the lowest. And most need to make up for it. In comparison, the magic value is just a pure zero egg. There is also a small icon hanging. Think about the functions after the app upgrade. Xiaozikin came to the conclusion. Ask the app for verification. The app does not deceive the host in this regard, in fact. I just help convert various values into the energy you need. Theoretically, the functions of the app itself. In fact, there is only one auxiliary mall. To put it simply and concisely, this is determined by Xiaozikin's own physical constitution. Don't blame Goldfinger's magic immunity for not being able to learn magic. Xiaozikin rarely choked. Suddenly he remembered a word he had seen in the past few days, forbidden demonic physique. Legend has it that this physique is like a funnel. It can never contain magical elements. It's a Muggle reserve. But this kind of physique is very rare. There won't be one in almost tens of thousands of years. It is the only record recorded in the history books. Still very unclear. This means that Xiaozikin can teach everyone to learn magic. But it's impossible for him to learn magic by himself. Certainly. Xiaozikin also quickly caught the loophole, since you are just a mall. So what is the new magic immunity function you upgraded? I didn't spend the money to buy it, did I? App guilty conscience. He stuttered, just. That is. What then? Everyone needs to grow up slowly. No matter what your physique. Right? Xiaozikin slowly raised his eyebrows. He joked, oh. It turns out that Xiao Xiao is a good app that helps me understand my own physique. The principal app pretends to be dead. Xiaozikin touched his chin. It can be regarded as understanding myself and my own golden finger. He has a forbidden demon physique. It has a certain immunity to magic. But needs to grow. At this time, you need to rely on the connection between the students and yourself. Let the magic that students practice become an introduction. Guide your body to increase this immunity. He can absorb different energies. Convert to different values through calibration. Increase one's strength. And school also requires energy. Keep them all running. These energies transformed from student studies. So, can you become stronger? It depends on whether my good students work hard or not. Xie Shichen said meaningfully. Take out the teaching stick. Relying on mental power to input instructions. I hope the eaglets can fly as soon as possible. Don't let him down. App is as quiet as a chicken. Although it is I am the principal app. It also looks forward to students being able to attend school as soon as possible. Climb the Mage Tower. But at this time, it still couldn't help but feel a little bit of pity for the students. Amen. Don't blame it. It's just a mediocre app. Teacher Wang Wang who beats chicken blood is really scary. Damn. Screech, does he know that evenings are private time for students? Private time. Bo Rui collapsed and shouted. He was tortured by his homework until he was almost crazy. I turned around and saw a man staring at me with eager eyes. Teaching stick with thin front and thick back. Against his lower back. Instantly grasped his lifeline. The teaching stick seems virtual and real. Engraved on the body is a string of cursive characters. 8 to 9 o'clock at night is the time for night running. It's 7:40 now. Please gather in the small garden before 7:55. Can't be late. Borui closed his eyes. Delusion, this teaching stick becomes an illusion. However. Do you really have to run at night? I'm so sleepy now that I can fall asleep right away. Damn it. I'm just a little bit closer. Why do you have to do it now? Okay, it'll be there right away. Don't hit me. Running to the small garden at night? I just changed into a pink tutu. All right. This is not an illusion. Borui felt the cold thing poke his lower back urgingly. No way. Borui had no choice but to stand up from the table. Please put away your items. Believe me. After running, you would rather sleep directly. Instead of coming to the library. Borui. Pain mask. Borui wiped his face. Turn around in embarrassment. Go and put everything into the space ring. This is definitely the fastest time he has cleaned up. At the urging of the teaching stick. 20 students neatly. Expressionless. Full of numbness. Arranged neatly on time at 59 minutes. Standing in the middle of the small garden and waiting. Unexpected. Screech didn't come. Instead, a few swipes of the teaching wand, like a magic wand. There were many genie lamps floating in mid-air in front of me. Jumping in the forest like an elf. A magical alchemy item that glows softly like moonlight. Certainly. Everyone who has seen the teaching mirror is not too surprised. Screech's heritage is always deep. The teaching stick spit out a row of bright words, dear classmates. The teacher is preparing a surprise for everyone after the monthly exam. It's a long process. Requires meticulousness and time. So please forgive me for not being able to come and lead everyone on a night run together, teacher. Boru's eyes lit up, then. The teaching stick waved another row of words, of course. The teacher believes. My lovely, hardworking and smart children. Will definitely fulfill the promise. Complete tonight's night run perfectly. Is it right? Students. Can you say no? Obviously not. No matter how reluctant you are. They are still driven by the teaching stick. Full of embarrassment. Stumblingly. Completed a 1-hour night run. The road at night is much more difficult than the road during the day. At least that's how it seems to Verla. She once again ruined a beloved skirt. But she didn't even have time to feel distressed. Go back to the dormitory. I could barely hold on and took a shower. Verla lay on the bed as if she had no bones. Fall asleep in 1 second. Sleep very sweetly. Nearly 10 o'clock. Almost all the lights in the student dormitories of Screech Academy of Magic went out. A window is gently opened. A blonde girl wearing soft pajamas. Leaning against the window. Put the diary on the windowsill. Biting the pen. Start thinking about what you need to record today. Your Highness. Your hair is still wet. Let Freya dry you off. Freya walked closer holding a towel. Soft tone. Freya. Haven't you gone to bed yet? Ophelia turned around in surprise. Freya also changed into her pajamas. Obviously. Let's dry Ophelia's hair. She went to sleep. Soon. I knew you didn't dry your hair, Your Highness. She curled her lips. I lowered my head and wiped my hair while thinking aloud. If you don't want to take action, you can also use magic stones. It's uncomfortable when your hair is wet. Ophelia's cheeks are slightly red. I remember. There are just a lot of things I want to record today. As soon as I thought about it, I forgot about it. She was a little annoyed. But Freya didn't mean to blame her. Just dry Ophelia's hair carefully. Just ready to leave. Freya. Do you want to go back? Ophelia looked at Freya's figure preparing to leave. Asked hesitantly. She traveled far away willfully. Freya doesn't trust her. Maybe there is no choice. I can only come out with her. She wants magic so bad. So much so that I forgot to ask when I came out. Freya's will. Freya is obviously a swordsman. A promising swordsman. If I don't come out with her, you can probably join the knights now. Freya turned back in surprise. Why would Your Highness think so? She saw the guilt and self-blame in Ophelia's eyes. Dumbfounding. Freya is a little more serious. Seriously, first of all, I came here voluntarily with His Highness. It is my greatest wish that His Highness can learn magic. Before that, I just want to protect His Highness well. Secondly, good here. I think Principal Screech's teachings. I gained much more than I did in the Knights. Freya said. Raised eyebrows. Maybe. I can also learn magic in the future. Magic and martial arts. It's very challenging to think about it. Until this moment. Only then did she reveal her ambition that she had always hidden. Perhaps it was to stop Her Highness from blaming herself. Maybe it's also a hint. She won't let herself be caught up because she can't catch up. And left behind by Ophelia. When Ophelia comes to her senses, Freya has left lightly. She pursed her lips. Looking at diary. Suddenly smiled lightly. She knows what she is going to record today. Documenting her and Freya's new life. My heart was filled with powerless anger. Because of my own weakness. Because of a father who couldn't resist. Because he was unable to help Vila, he had to marry Vila. Because of the theft that was unacceptable to me. Because everything does not change because of me, so I have to be like a puppet. Come to Screech Academy of Magic. To do that which is called learning. It's really a despicable act of stealing. That's original sin. It's hard for me to adapt. I feel myself crying inside. I even felt scared looking at Verla's still trusting and innocent face. Fear. She doesn't know. She relies on strong brother. He has long since become a funny clown. It's really sad. So I can only avoid the crowd. Cold face. Reading magic books alone. Improve your own magic learning plan. Pray that I will become a Dharma saint as soon as possible. Get rid of all constraints. Get free. But only 3 days. Unimaginable. I changed all my thoughts. Stopped all plans. Just because. I want to believe in a miracle. A miracle that may fail to bet. He asked me. Do you believe that the legendary mage can cast low-level magic instantly? He said. Believe him. He said. Give me experience. How powerful are real magicians? I want to believe him. He always knows what we want most. He is really kind. Great. Trustworthy teacher. I will listen to his arrangements and make a study plan. Just like this assignment. It must be done as perfectly as possible. At the same time, Chris fulfills his promise. Straighten your back. Sit at the table. Write a diary carefully. He didn't understand why Screech sent them the diary. It was just Screech who said. He just does it. He wants to trust Screech. Give yourself a year. Go bet on this miracle. He will insist on expressing his feelings. Write down everything you see and hear. Roar. Waves of beast roars rang out. Chris frowned. Although Screech sat on the mountain. But there are many magic circles here and they are advanced. Very safe. Why are there still beasts roaring? Ho ho ho. The restless sound of Warcraft made Chris sigh. My thoughts can't help but wander far away. In addition. Although I recognize his teaching ability and his kind heart. But I have to admit. Just like Bori said. Screech really needs a beating sometimes. I have never seen anyone who can speak so beautifully and yet so unpleasantly. If only he could get rid of his strange yin and yang attitude from time to time. And laughable threats. I think I would respect him more. As well as. The sound of Warcraft tonight is really noisy. I'll have to go complain to Screech tomorrow. Beauty's sleep is really important. Chris finished writing the last sentence. Mark with date. Close diary. Yawned slowly. Subsequently. Maybe I'm really tired. In the noisy roar of beasts. He also gradually fell into sleep. This night. Chris also had a good dream. It seems that as long as he is a book kid, he'll never get enough sleep. Even though the magicians are not short of sleep. Theoretically. Everyone went to bed before 10 o'clock last night. Even if we meet at 6 o'clock in the morning. I also slept for nearly 8 o'clock. This is enough sleep for ordinary people. For a group of half-grown children. Still a little less. A group of students wearing comfortable pants stood crookedly in place. Yawn from time to time. The spirit is quite good. Chris. Do you know what happened at the college last night? There was a terrible roar this morning. I was so scared that all my sweet dreams disappeared. Willa complained softly. There is some grievance on the beautiful face. Borui raised his eyebrows. Come closer with a smile. Dear Miss Magician. You magicians don't need that much sleep, right? When did you go to bed last night? Vera's face stiffened. Gritting teeth. Bori. We magicians just want to take beauty sleep. What's wrong? Don't you swordsmen need so much sleep time? What else are you sleeping on? Buri shrugged. No way. I was so tired yesterday. I don't want to absorb magic elements at all. Yes. The only thing that swordsmen and magicians have in common is the practice of absorbing magic elements. It's just that the way of cultivation is different. Or rather. Theoretically. The magician only needs to think. He can be a swordsman. But a swordsman doesn't have the talent to be a magician. So on the contempt chain. Magicians will still look down on swordsmen.